across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Very good morning to you. Yes, your ears aren't deceiving you. Jeremy Kyle on Breakfast on a Friday, the 31st of July. Thank you for tuning in. It is, of course, the home of common sense and the home of you, the alarm clock. Brit, we're still at it, whilst the rest of the world seemingly is on holiday. More of that coming up. Listen, whatever you want to talk about today, your views on the day's news are what apparently makes this vain attempt at a radio programme work. 0344 499 1000. Tommy, who's going out for dinner tonight and has the pins out, is taking your calls. We'll take voice notes as well. What's the prize today? Overnight oats drizzled with apple. Sound great, doesn't it? 0344, better than what Christian's wife gives him every day. It's like the bottom of a parrot cage. Not that I want his wife to think that, because he loves the food. No, he loves the food. It's me that says. I mean, Christian, he comes in every day, doesn't he, Charlie, and goes, look at that amazing box of food my wife's made. I love that food. It's just we go, give us a burger.
Well, yes, I'm very careful what I put in my mouth.
Honestly, I've absolutely been on 2 minutes. Oh, Christian's already gone, oh, my God, the wife's going to divorce me. He's going to get an Ofcom. 0344 499 1000. Text, by the way, 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Just some ideas of what we're waking up to this morning. Front page of the Sun, and lovely Sam is doing it today. Football staying home. Infantino, the boss of FIFA, has said, I'm going to sell the World Cup off. Everybody's gone, oh, this is an outrage. UEFA have signed a letter, and all countries are in fact not going to participate unless this man is removed and the idea of selling the World Cup is dropped. I like what Sam said. We've never had a chance anyway, so it's never, ever coming home. So, although, if we did go against UEFA and turned up and there were no other bloody teams, we might actually finally win it. So we'll think about that. 0344 499 1000. Listen, this migrant situation continues. I don't know if you saw, Kev covered it brilliantly on Drive. Astonishing figures and pictures yesterday. 20,000 migrants swimming from Morocco into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta after a court ruled that anyone arriving by sea could not be forced back. Just streaming. I mean, it is... Where are we with all of this? I mean, in the UK yesterday, 752 migrants in one day. And let's talk about the human facts. 4 perished. We showed you that footage that Isabel Oakes shot sorted the night before. At night time, beaches being lit by the French taking our money and just letting people come. Let me just assure you, though, whatever you think of our new Prime Minister, he says that all of this is complete tosh and the numbers are going down and the Labour government has control of it. Morning, Mr Burnham.
When it comes to the wider issues around the Channel and immigration, obviously there are crossings this week, but overall, if you look at the picture in 2026 compared to last year, 2025, there is significant progress in terms of reducing the number of crossings, the number of people coming over. But there is much further to be done to get the grip on the issue that we require. The Home Secretary is applying that grip, and I'm grateful to her, but more is needed to get those numbers right down. The removals are up too, though, and this is another part of the story that people need to understand. You know, there is progress being made on all fronts, but more is needed.
Can I point something out about removals before we get into Charlie Rowley? That didn't sound right. 35% of the people that were removed were not removed. They left of their own accord without the government even knowing that they bloody well existed. Listen, I'm prepared, and I mean this, to give Andy Burnham the opportunity. We'll talk about the fact that he's allegedly now saying drilling could cause an easing of cost of living. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But can we please, finally, all, as a world, a society, a country, a radio network, whatever, admit there is a massive, massive problem with illegals coming into this country and swarming over Europe to the detriment of people who live here and pay their taxes? And will politicians finally understand that they can't just waft this rubbish anymore? It's not going to work. However, despite that, and the football and migration and drilling and the... I might as well share this with you. I'm going away next week, and I'm taking the children to a beautiful cottage on the beach somewhere in Norfolk. Christian's already utterly destroyed the holiday by pointing out that the Sizewell B nuclear power plant in Suffolk is on alert due to the apocalyptic wildfires spreading their way and heading to Norfolk. So I probably won't be back ever, but that'll be another story. The other thing is, Charlie, very good morning.
Good morning.
Christian wants us to try and also say, however serious it's been, that it should be Fun Time Friday.
Quite right too.
So I'm going to open it up to you lot. What do you want to talk about that's a little bit light-hearted? Is there anything? I mean, am I allowed to do the front page of the Daily Telegraph? Because I think this is absolutely brilliant. Do you not think? I mean, Christian is showing me this morning, the Daily Mail, Labour's 18 billion council tax raid. And he's looking at me thinking, why are you not looking inspired? Well, just directly above, on the front of the paper, and I'm only reading this, not just any knickers, M&S crotchless ones, whatever next. I mean, that's a shocking headline on the front of the Daily Telegraph, isn't it? So what makes you smile for a Friday? Come on, help me out, peeps. What are you looking forward to? What are you doing? Can we talk about something other? We will talk about football being destroyed and migration destroying our lives and no drilling and a cost of living and how we all want to just basically... Poor old Sammy is doing the buttons. He looks like death warmed up. His kids have had him up all night. He's got to come into work. He'd rather be anywhere than looking at my fat, ugly mug. Or Charlie's. But listen, tell me what makes you happy on a Friday. That's all I'm saying. Charlie Rowley, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be here on a Friday morning as well with you.
Most people wouldn't know that you're a massive football fan. You're a gooner.
I am.
What do you make of it? I mean, this... I have to do this very quickly. Gianni Infantino, the boss of FIFA, wants to sell off parts of the World Cup franchise, as he calls it, to investors. And quite rightly, UEFA yesterday released this 55 nations uniting against this, sending a letter going, it's not about that. It shouldn't be about making money. It's just an enormous thing, the World Cup. It's just been an incredible spectacle. So we and other nations in UEFA said we're not going to play. Which is... So it's never coming home football, is it?
Well, probably not. But even if we did turn up against a depleted number of teams that were actually taking part, we probably still wouldn't do it. But, you know, there is hope. But I've never seen... There are very few occasions where you probably actually see someone in any kind of high office, in any kind of institution, get something so fundamentally wrong. I mean,
I'm sorry, I think you're being very, very wrong there. Have you not looked at our last 5 prime ministers in this country? What are you talking about?
Well, I said it's very rarely. I mean, we've had all the 5 buses maybe coming in a row, but he's completely deluded. Obviously, he has not consulted anyone. Obviously, it's all about him increasing his salary. I read as well by about, was it 47 million or something?
Absolutely.
I mean, the man is just completely inward-looking. He's done this for his own gain to sell off the franchise, as you say, just to make more money. Where you had people from the outside influencing the game, just like we saw, dare I say, Donald Trump calling up Mr. Infantino to say, oh, you know, don't worry about that red card against, forgotten his name now.
Balogun, the American striker, very American name, Balogun, isn't it? Completely agree. It's if you sold off the World Cup, even if, I mean, the whole concept to me is alien, you'd then have major businesses with an investment pushing certain agendas. That's not what football's about. I'll have a little bet with you. Infantino will be gone within a week.
Oh,
$1 million gone.
Totally, yeah. I wouldn't bet against that.
Yesterday, I was lucky enough, and I should compliment him. I thought the coverage was astonishing on Drive Time with Kev yesterday, and he had Samara in the building. That footage, have we got this footage? I'm sure you've all seen it by now. Yesterday, 20,000 migrants swam from Morocco. It's on camera now. It's on that footage into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta after a court ruled that anyone arriving by sea could not be forced back. It is the most extraordinary / frightening / disgusting / I don't know thing that I've ever seen. Hordes of people making their way into this enclave, knowing that that is the reality of their existence and that they can get away with it. And you know, we're no longer, are we, Charlie, able to look at that and go, oh, that's their problem, because yesterday, the United Kingdom, 752 migrants reached our shores on the biggest day of channel crossings this year. 4 migrants, also, this is important, died trying to make the crossing. Reform yesterday, head above the parapet quite rightly, I thought, and said, this 500 million that we give to France is a joke. We should freeze those payments right now. But you got Burnham saying there's not a problem, numbers are going down. They're not!
Well, you're absolutely right. The two things there, I mean, isn't insanity, the definition of insanity is the same thing happening over and over again and you're not doing anything differently. That's broadly, I think, what people say. And we saw this in the mid-2000s, didn't we? The huge numbers of people coming through Germany because Germany offered an amnesty. In terms of people that
and
entered the country.
Look where that got Merkel.
And absolutely. And those people then found their way through Europe coming into the UK. So the idea that we're now seeing it again, where Spain has given an amnesty to, I think, some countries in North Africa, about 500,000. Do you not think that's a draw? Do you not think that's a pull factor to people?
This is what I don't get, and this is where... Please help me out, team, right? An amnesty. When I say what I'm going to say, people go, yeah, but you're not being sympathetic. These people have terrible lives. Are you telling me that the Spanish economy is so flush and the Spanish people are doing so well that they're OK with that? Because I can tell you from a British point of view, another 752 illegal migrants, because let's remember, if they had paperwork, they wouldn't come on a boat. Where does it end? It ends, and I genuinely believe this, and this is, you have to be careful how you say this. It genuinely ends with the majority standing up and saying, we're not having this anymore, this is not right.
Well,
it's true.
You're absolutely right, because, you know, when these people come into the country and the government decides, right, they're going to put them in a hotel, or now they're going to move them to a HMO, or they're going to move them to a disused army barracks, or whatever it is, where they've got to... Well, the government feels as though they've got to house these people rather than just deport them. You're going to get community tension. You're going to get people saying, hang about, we're a small village of about 350 people and you're sending 1,200 migrants, you know,
and what hope
in the
have you got
hotel?
in the United Kingdom? If you think of Epping, when the local people and the local council said we can't have these unvetted men in our, you know, 2 girls have been sexually assaulted, and the government went, no, we're going to the Home Office are going to court to ensure that migrants' wishes are better. I'm to the point where I am bored of saying this, but you know, Burnham again, right? Well, the shirt wasn't very nice and the tie knot getting worse by the day, but numbers are going down. Andy Burnham, they're not going down. You are another one who will not address what is fundamentally staring all of us in the face.
Absolutely. And these are the big calls, obviously, that the country needs to face up to. It's not about handing out... I mean, he's had a week or two now, I think, whatever it is, you know, handing out those sweets about, you know, £2 bus fare cap. OK, I'll help the hospitality sector by the 20% reduction in VAT.
And we're slagged off because we say, how are you going to pay for it?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, I mean, a question...
Imagine that's not the job of a journalist.
Exactly.
Wow.
Well, certainly when there's a bit of a lack of opposition at the minute, and he's avoided press scrutiny and avoided an actual leadership contest, we don't know what the man's doing or where he's concocted these plans from. So someone's got to ask those questions. But the idea he's giving out those small little sweets, these are the big challenges now. You're seeing swathes of people come across the channel still, but you're seeing those images of people getting into that part of Spain. There's a problem here. That's going to impact on the UK. What are you going to do about it, Prime Minister? It's no good just saying, well, I've asked the Home Secretary, and, you know, we need to get a little bit tougher. And the numbers are coming down and said, no, they're not, Prime Minister. You've got to grip this. This is a national emergency.
Can you get me that figure from yesterday? Because on the basis, I think, yesterday of people saying this is unacceptable, and the Home Office released this figure, which I'll read out to people in a minute, which basically, of that number that's going down, 35% we didn't even know were in the bloody country and had left of their own accord.
Yeah, and you've always got to be, I mean, you know, I've been there, I might have, you know, advised once or twice on how to sort of spin some of these figures. You know, when you ever get a politician saying, oh, well, if you compare this year in comparison to last, so compare July 26 compared to 2025.
Are you telling me
you'll
that,
see the figures,
spin means that we don't get the truth, Charlie Rowley?
Well,
is that why you're now a former special advisor, because you've started to tell the truth?
Well, as I say, you know, I'm a former special advisor. I never felt special or gave any kind of advice. So, you know.
I say that you should be running the country. Lee, good morning. Lee.
Morning, Jezza. Lee from Scarborough in his van off to work to earn some money to pay for these migrants that are coming over. Veteran. Absolutely disgusted, mate. What have we got? We're an island nation, Jezza, and these people are getting in. This many Germans didn't get in during World War II, mate. So what are we doing? Well, I'll tell you what's happening. We're being gaslit, mate. Gaslit by Mahmood and Burnham. They have... Get a grip. Have they bloody hell? I'm telling you, Jezza, get the old veterans out there, get them on the beaches, because they're ruining our country, Jezza, diluting our culture. This is a bloody national disgrace, Jez. Absolute disgrace. Anyway, Jez, Nice to see you on a Friday.
Good man. Listen, people are going, oh my God, he's absolutely spot on. 0344 499 1000. Bill says, JK and Charlie said Burnham found another 752 voters yesterday. 752 people came in. Of course they're going to vote for a guy that allows it. And 40 grand a year. So that will cost the United Kingdom £30 million. Let's nail it. 30 million quid. Where the hell is that coming from? Says Bill in Romsey. And he's dead right. Christine Richard. Well, in my garden, sat looking at lovely moon blue magpies flying along and finches feeding, waiting to get up and make my tea. Charlie Rowley always cheers me up. Right.
Oh, that's very kind.
Is she at home or is she in the garden of a facility? Is all I'm saying.
Maximum security.
Not maximum security. Somewhere where she's derangement syndrome about you is going to be dealt with.
Oh, it's one of my fans. I'll send you the fiver later on.
Lovely, he won't. Jeremy, all those migrants that made it to Spain, looks like they hear about Giveaway Britain. They'll be making their way to France and onto our beaches before you're back from your holiday, says Pete. And that is the worry, isn't it? That is the whole thing about we can't just any longer go, ugh. It frightens me. Charlie cracks me up with his double entendres, says Graham. I don't know what you're talking about. Why don't we talk about Jez doing a full week at work? Never been known. I am absolutely taking exception. This is my... shall I be honest? Right? And this, you could see I'm becoming defensive. I've done 10 straight weeks. I am bored of my own voice. I think doing this job and talking for 4 hours a day, I need to go away and recharge. It's not energy. I get up every day at 4 o'clock anyway. I'm slightly bored of saying the same thing. Do you understand that?
I do.
And I'm sure the audience are. Hi, Jez and Charlie. The best morning to you. Do you remember me? I had to transport horse semen. I contacted the show some time ago.
Yeah, I do remember this.
It didn't work. We had to take her to the Stallion. Instead, Molly is now in foal and I'm on the way for her second scan. Some good news amongst the rubbish that faces us in the UK. So she, having taken the sperm, which didn't work, got the mare covered and now she's taking who's with foal to have a scan. God, I love my listeners. Morning, Jez. A caller yesterday called the boats the Burnham boats. Very apt, says Deborah in Essex. Good morning to you, Deborah. It's a fun time Friday. Mark's in Croydon. The videos from Spain were incredible and worrying. I wonder if Darren Jones can spot any women and children. That's the ex-first secretary to the Prime Minister who said, do you remember that on Question Time?
Yes.
90% of the people are women and children. Not one in sight yesterday.
Yep.
Complete con. Christine Richards, Spain has put army in Ceuta to help guard the UK should do the same. Stop the boats landing, turn them back. Spain might have done that, but it makes no difference because there's an amnesty which says if you come by water, right, you can stay.
Yeah.
Are we going to have that as well?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if someone somewhere in the Home Office has tried to say, look, the way that we can get rid of these numbers or we can get them down or start again is by saying, look, anyone who is here, there will be people pushing that. I've no doubt about it in the Home Office. There will be officials there saying,
you are joking
let's have an amnesty. No, I genuinely believe it. Because they will say, look, we've got to start again, so toughen up our borders, but the people that are already here, say it's a one-off, but then have a stronger deterrent. No. And the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary should absolutely push back on that.
Do you think Burnham has... I don't want to judge him too quickly. Do you think Burnham has the political capital, the will, the desire to actually do something? Or do you think, and judging, Kristen quite rightly said, the 2 clips we've had of Andy Burnham this week, yes, the numbers are coming down. No, they're not. They're not coming down at all. Yeah. They're escalating. And don't give me just the weather. They're escalating because people know... oh, hold on, sorry. I stopped talking. Everybody stops talking because it's that moment of the morning where the voice of the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show gets to address the nation. Morning, Angry Rob.
Morning, Jez. Morning, Charlie. I see your hair's growing back a little bit more. Well done, young man. Now, you're talking about the immigrant thing in Spain. Yeah, what's Spain got? Socialist government. They're the ones that just writ a blank cheque and said, we'll give you all an amnesty. All you terrorists and rapists, come on down. We love you. Don't worry about the public. If anybody says out against you, we'll throw them in a jail because they're all right-wing fascists. Meanwhile, in this country, you got the same thing going on. You got Andy Burnham looking out to sea like Captain Birdseye, going, I see no ships. No, you don't, Andy, do you? You don't see anything apart from what you want to. You're quite content for us, the plebs, the populace. We keep having all these rapists and terrorists dumped amongst us, but guess what? You can't do anything about it. Your hands are tied. You've got your minister, Wes Streeting, the defence man, the man who's got more combat experience than Rambo. He said we can't be frivolous with the public purse. We can't just fritter away money. That's why I'm not going to spend more than 2.8% on defence. In other news, we're spending about 5 or 6 million quid a day on illegal immigrants. Sort yourself out. Turn that money over to the military, get some ships in the channel and start hitting a few. Because I tell you now, mate, the first one you sink will probably be the last one. Because the others will think, you know what, the squeeze ain't worth the juice.
To be here with you all in the heart of Manchester this Friday morning at the end of, you know, a fairly big week is just everything to me.
If I have to watch one more saccharine video of him pulling a pint or talking about his favourite bar snacks with John Healy, whatever mawkish, minimalising, utterly moronic, stupid bit of social media tidbit they're trying to throw to us, you know, the sugar to help the Marxist medicine go down.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's Fun Time Friday with Fun Time Charlie, who, according to Peter, Charlie Rowley is the spitting image of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. You're not happy about this, are you?
Well, I mean, it's a cartoon character, for goodness sake.
Well, there you are. Who's blue?
An animation.
An animation. That's what people think of you. You're waking up to the news that the migrant scenario. I'm sorry. I know it's repetitive. That astonishingly appalling footage yesterday. 20,000 migrants swimming from the tip of Morocco into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta after a court there gave an amnesty and said anyone arriving by sea gets to stay. 20,000 people. And we can no longer stick our head in the sand and go, it won't happen here. Just look at those pictures. If you haven't seen them, go online. It's awful. It's appalling. On the day in the United Kingdom, another 752 migrants reached us yesterday. Biggest day of crossings. The day our Prime Minister again said numbers are coming down. Can you get me that piece of paper that the Home Office released yesterday? Because that's a complete con. Morning, Charlie.
Morning, Jez. Morning, Chaz. It's Charlie and George on their way to work again to pay that welfare bill. Andy Burnham, blimey, he's telling us porkies, isn't he? Telling us that the boats are down, the number of the boats are down, but he ain't telling us the boats are twice as big. I can't see an end to it unless we change the structure of this country and have a change from the top. What a scary thought. Anyway, look. Everyone have a good weekend. Over and out, everybody.
That's my point, right? He says it. He nails it. There needs to be a change. We now live in a country, rather we live in Europe or we live in wherever, where excuses are made. I'm going to nail this, in my opinion, nobody else's. I have no idea what it's like to be somebody trying to flee persecution, but that ship has sailed, excuse the pun. These are economic migrants, fighting men who are unvetted, being allowed to swarm all over Europe and ultimately the United Kingdom. And it's... I mean, did you see yesterday that the former head of the National Crime Agency says that small boats filled with young military-aged men should scare the life out of the British public? I believe it is the duty of somebody in power to stand up and say, I'm not interested about all the naysayers from the left. This is a dereliction of duty to the people of Great Britain that pay their tax, not just from a safety angle, but an economic value angle. This is what you got yesterday from the Home Office, Charlie. They posted this mid-morning. I think we are aware of posts circulating online that claim that French law enforcement are failing to prevent small boat channel crossings. UK-French cooperation has already stopped over 48,000 attempted crossings since the election. To which, and I have to salute them again, I salute them every day, the Centre for Migration Control immediately came back and went, the Home Office claimed it has removed or deported 70,000 people. Here are the facts. 35% of that 70,000 left without officials even realising that they'd left, arrived, or what their bloody identity was. 25%, 26% were paid by us, the taxpayer, to leave. That's nearly 60%. Just 25% were deportations, and two out of three of these were Europeans. That's spin, isn't it? That is not control. That is spin by the Home Office again.
Well, there's claim and there's claptrap. And that is claptrap of the highest order. If
you smile because you thought I might well have done that when I was in the Home Office.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would have actually tried to find something to actually sort of go on that might have been a bit more substantial than that, because that's ridiculous. You know, we know that the French only have stopped about 30% of their small boat crossings. So the idea that it's a claim that the French aren't doing it is for the birds. They are not stopping the numbers of people that we see come over the channel. That is just a fact. And when you see, you know, all of these things start to add up, because when the French border authorities, whoever they are, you know, fail to stop who they are, wherever they are, you know, when they fail to stop people coming over, on the one hand, and then you see them firing warning shots against the shadow Home Secretary that was out there 2 days ago that you were talking to a couple of days ago, which was a brilliant interview, and him going down to interview some people there on the shores who didn't really have a clue what was going on and didn't seem to be particularly interested in stopping what was going on. Then you know you've got a problem. So we've got to get tough now. Well, we should have got tough years ago, but you know, this isn't about Andy Burnham wanting to be liked. If you really want to solve the problem, and I think if you have to have an element of compromise to placate...
I don't see why I should have to compromise.
Well, to placate your base or to placate...
Sod my base. Honestly, I've got to the point where I think somebody has got to stand up and say, listen, all you do-gooders and all you people who are still living in cloud cuckoo land, let me say it again, these are not men and women and children and families. I've said this is why I have to go away. I am so bored of saying this, right? Here's the thing. If I was in a country with my wife and copious bloody children... peaceful week, wasn't it? And there were bombs on my head and I had a chance to leave, I wouldn't leave them there. Also, first country I got to where I didn't actually feel like I was going to be bombed to death, I'd settle down and enjoy it. I wouldn't go through a further 7 countries unless, of course, there was a country at the end of the rainbow with a pot of gold, which is what Great Britain is. And that's the point. And so, whilst everybody messes around wanting to... I honestly, I just want to put Margaret Thatcher... I would love Margaret Thatcher to be alive today to deal with this, because let me tell you, she wouldn't give a fat what's it's about anybody on the left. She'd be doing what is right for the United Kingdom, and it is about time that the United Kingdom was treated seriously and properly by successive governments and prime ministers, because we've had enough. And that's not me being outrageous, because with Ukraine, Homes for Ukraine, we did the right thing, and I thought that was fantastic. Fantastic. But what you're seeing in Morocco is not fantastic. £30 million is the cost of the 752 that will come yesterday. £30 million. We ain't got 30 million quid.
You're absolutely right, but that's where, and you've touched on it, that's where I would, if I was trying to, you know, solve the problem, but also, you know, to enable us to be tough, to demonstrate that we're tough, but also to get the right people coming in, I would do exactly what some people are asking for, which are the safe and legal routes. But that means the British government
legally.
countries. Yeah, but that allows the British government to pick and choose from what countries it determines are actually facing persecution, when people are facing persecution, just like we did for Ukraine. So we decided that we need to help these people in Ukraine, and we will set up whatever systems we can to help them, to support them, their European friends and allies and neighbours, and it was the right thing to do. We have no connection, in my view, to Eritrea, which is one of the #1 countries where people are coming from. I don't see how the UK can help people in South Sudan, or why that's particularly a UK priority. There are other countries nearby that can help that crisis. The same with Iran at the minute, where there's a war going on. I don't actually think it's a national security benefit for people from Iran coming into the UK at this moment in time.
Some of them are coming in without us knowing. Some of the IRGC, apparently.
Totally. So let's pick and choose where we think that we can help these people. We'll set up outposts there for people to register, to make sure that we know who's coming in. We'll get them from those countries, war-torn countries, and we'll get them into the UK. Anyone else, or anyone that tries to come in illegally, it's a hard no. You'll be returned, you'll be deported, you'll be turned back. And that's the way that we say as a nation, and stand on our own 2 feet and proudly say...
I think I might have him as Chief of Staff if I stand. I'm quite impassioned by this as one.
But you could then easily say to the public, we are helping the people that we view as a British government are in serious need, so we are doing our fair share.
Do you know what it comes back to? And I said it yesterday. I do think that for years, Britain's always been, I don't know the best way to describe it, we've always been the ones that seemingly does the right thing, but now it is to the detriment of our own people, and that is where we're in trouble. This is brilliant, by the way. Mike in Essex. Fleeing persecution from Morocco, 20,000. Jet2 are advertising last-minute holidays there this morning. There you have it. Persecution in Morocco. I'm going to jump in the water and head off to Spain. Jet2 are saying, would you like to go to Morocco? It's lovely. The whole thing is extraordinary. Margaret, good morning. We all support our military, but what I don't understand is how they can turn up for an event to stand about in dress uniform, but we can't or won't allow them to protect our borders. Imagine. Are there enough? Morning, Jez and Charlie. Why don't we see more footage or pictures of any migrants being deported, says Steve in Northants. Maybe many aren't. Burnham's not wrong. The boat crossings are getting down, but the boats are getting bigger, says Thomas, who's trucking in Northants.
Oh, yes.
It's a nice thing to be doing nice and early, having a good old truck. We used to be a nation of bulldogs, says Mick. We're now a nation of poodles and sloths. Brilliant. Are you a poodle or a sloth?
I quite like a sloth.
Do you? Why?
I think that's the character in Ice Age, isn't it? That friendly...
You watch too much animated crap.
Yes, yeah.
All right, Stitch. Why is no one asking who arranged for all these illegal boys to arrive in Spain at once? If this isn't organised, it's the weirdest coincidence. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I really do think this is a purposeful invasion by foreign authorities. I love your guy from Scarborough. Is that where Angry Rob's from? Obviously not. Rachel in York. Good morning. York's a lovely place. All the French police have to do to earn their $500 million is to slash each and every boat, then the migrants will stop heading there. Simple. Rachel, they don't care. Actually, somebody said this to me yesterday, and I thought, I don't really want to put myself in the French camp, but if I was France and some idiotic country was giving me £500 million to make sure that these people didn't come over, I wouldn't really want them in my country, so I'd sort of just let them go. And then at some point the other country would go, you're taking the mickey out. Oh, no, that will be English. Anyway, I want the money back. Good morning, Jeremy. These 20,000 Moroccans will soon be making their way to the UK, and there's the fear. Absolutely.
Absolutely. They'll be able to truck their way through to Spain, into France, and then before you know it, they're on our shores. But the only time that we've seen the French border police or authorities, whatever they're called, slash one of those dinghies to prevent it leaving the border was when, you guessed it, Macron was making a visit just a few days beforehand. I mean, this was some months ago now. But that's the only performative thing, and it is performative, that they've done to demonstrate that they're getting a grip on it, because they haven't, because they just don't want to. You're right, they're happy for it to be our problem.
Have we got a fanfare or anything at all? James has just made the big switch from GB News because he said there hasn't been a single bloody mention in 35 minutes about the migrant issue. Well, let me tell you, I'm not slagging off them, but there are a lot of mainstream media. I'm looking up right now. BBC, Amazon shares jump on cloud sales growth, snake bites on Sky. The biggest issue right now in the United Kingdom is the migrant crisis. And all the people who say, oh, you keep going on about it, we keep going on about it because it's what people need to know, it's what people want to talk about, and it is impacting on people's lives. Perry, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. For God's sake, please give Keir Starmer some credit. He has cut the number of boats coming over. we're now getting boats with 90 people in rather than 20. So he has cut the number of boats. They're just using bigger boats. Give him some credit, for God's sake, man.
I've sort of forgotten about Starmer. I bet Starmer's having a right old knees up, isn't he? He don't give a damn anymore, does he, Starmer?
No. I imagine he's still in that pub.
Can we check whether there's any truth that he and Lady Starmer are the two faceless children we never got to see? Have actually not gone on a Jet2 holiday to Morocco and went for a swim late yesterday afternoon. Patrick's in Kent. Patrick could be like me. He said, I was brought up in Bermondsey, right? He said, my grandparents would turn in their grave chairs. They were bombed and died in the borough for our country. Would the present occupants of Bermondsey, would people that I see across the country, would they die for their country? No, probably not. Pat, Jez, how can the lovely Charlie be a senior special advisor? He doesn't look old enough to have just left school.
Oh, that's very kind.
He's had a lot of work.
Well, this beard.
Were you a senior special advisor there?
I was a special advisor.
You weren't senior then?
Well, I don't think there was.
How many people have you had under you?
I had a whole floor, a team of officials and
under you.
Well, I had a small pool of people who were my...
At what age were you? I think, can we remove, please, senior? I think it's absolutely wrong. Former special advisor.
I quite liked it.
Can we remove special? Because you said you weren't very special.
Just former.
And we also said the advice you gave was crap. So let's just have Charlie as former.
As former.
Charlie Rowley, former, is with me this morning. Liam's in Accrington. I love it. It's all gone wrong, isn't it? Charlie, the former, is here. Jess and Charlie, Liam from Accrington. Andy's only giving these sweets to us because Parliament is an incessant session, so he can't be challenged by Kevin. My Feel Good Friday is having a pint tonight. Drinking on a Friday, having a pint.
Well...
Do you drink?
I do. Contrary to what I said at the top of the programme, I'll swallow anything.
Right, and also I should apologise to Alan Crew. I've always tried to do this job, but he says, any chance you could go through a morning without Britain as Britain? You're just talking about everything being English. I'm a Scottish veteran and I'm proud of Great Britain. Fair play to you, Alan Crew.
Quite right.
Do you know what Crew is famous for?
The trains.
Very good. I once did a programme with Pete Waterman. He's obsessed with trains. He buys trains, and Crew is the centre, the epicentre of trains. Another bit of useless information on the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show with Charlie Rowley, the former. 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. We are back in 3.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. 20 minutes to 7 o'clock. We're live across the UK on the station that will always give you the honesty about what's going on in the United Kingdom. I'm just looking at other television stations. Thames Water and something else. Listen, I don't want to talk about migrants the whole time, but that footage yesterday from Morocco has shook people to the core, and rightly so. We've got a Prime Minister yesterday again said, nothing to see here, the numbers are going down. Morning, Mikey.
Well, I'm going to get my word in edgeways because I've lived in Africa. I've served this country through 5 conflicts, and that includes some of these people, some of their families maybe back in Iraq or the Middle East years ago. I fought against them. I don't really think people understand the consequences of what's happening. Let's be sensible here. They're busting through Spain. There's no real centres in Spain to be processing these people. They're coming in there tens of thousands. up through Europe. Europe isn't really doing much, okay? Completely different cultures. And for anybody in the West to think that they assume that they know these cultures better than the very countries that refuse to take them in the Middle East and Africa, then I'm sorry, it's just pure ignorance. I think it's the beginning of the end for Europe and UK.
It's not very... I mean, listen, he has every right to submit the beginning of the end. Am I really naive then, right? And I get his fear. I think his fear is real. I think we've swept this under the carpet for too long. And I repeat, I know the criticism is all you ever talk about, Carl, is you talk about migration or you keep going on about how's Burnham going to pay for this. So, yeah, that's what I consider to be my job. But the small boats thing has sort of been there in our psyche for as long as I can almost remember. Seemingly a variety of politicians neither have the will, the political capital or even the balls to do anything about it. He's right, though. At what point, treading carefully, are the British public going to say, nah, we're not doing this anymore? I don't want anybody to ever do anything where they take to the streets or they take the law. And that's fundamentally wrong. But it does take, or is going to take, a politician who doesn't care about being unpopular to make a decision that I would respectfully suggest. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Do we not think a majority of people in this country want this sorted, even if the means by which you have to do it are tough? Do you think a majority would agree with that?
I absolutely would.
So why isn't a politician... You know, when Boris Johnson won his majority, everybody was like, oh, that was amazing. Really? He said, let's get Brexit done. 52% of the country had voted for it. They worked out that 52% would vote for him. That wasn't genius. Was that you, former? Is that what you did? You went, oh, let's just... So what I'm saying now is if a majority of people are fed up to the back teeth with what's going on, why does somebody not have the political antennae to go, don't care if I upset the left, couldn't give a what's it, I'm going to do this for the United Kingdom and for the people who are literally at the end of the tether?
Because you've got to then understand the left and their mentality.
Why should that dominate? Because they say we're all far right if we don't agree with them. That shouldn't dominate.
That's their view. And
what about my view? What about Alarm Clock Britain's view? What about your view as a former?
That they, well, we are in the minority because, you know...
Are we? You just said we're in the majority.
I believe we are absolutely the majority.
Which tells me we're feared. We're fearing... This is... God, you've got me. See, the thing is, this is like when I talk to my 23-year-old daughter and she's got a different politics and that's fine. But mine... I'm not allowed my opinion. I have to be cancelled, ostracised, be called every name under the sky. Why would the left make us feel so fundamentally wrong?
But the playbook of the left is that, you know, you're entitled to your view and there will be one or two people, for example, that cross those small boats that go on to commit crimes in communities. Yes. But the majority of people that come over here do want a better life. That is the view of the left.
Well, they're getting a better life because we're giving it to them for nothing.
And the majority of people are not criminals. And the majority of people that come over do need our support and help. That is their view. That is their regimented philosophy. That is the left.
But they don't want them living next door to their houses, though. They wouldn't offer them a room.
But if you point out that hypocrisy, then you're just obviously, yes, a far-righty, you know, who's not worth engaging in the conversation with because you must be anti-immigration full stop and therefore they're going to walk away. And they will rely on and rest on their laurels that they got a huge majority in 2024. They think that actually the public didn't like what the Tories were doing with the Rwanda scheme, for example. That's why they scrapped it. They want a softer approach, even though they want to stop the issue. But it's about having a more friendly conversation about it and having a more
Have I told you that?
Nice about it.
I think I might have done. I came across this clip from Thatcher in '83 online, scrolling. I didn't even know what scrolling was until I was told. But she basically said that if the Right Honourable... It was a speech, and she said if the Right Honourable gentleman is saying that people can come to this country from other countries illegally and be allowed to stay and be given a lifestyle, you're talking about international chaos. And I looked at those photos yesterday, those pictures from Morocco. Is that the beginning of international chaos? Quite possibly it is.
Well, it absolutely is. But the reason why this is so important, and I think it's obviously missed by particularly this government because of the way in which I've just sort of set out. They're looking at this in silos. They're looking at it individually and on its own. And it is an immigration problem, but we can stop a few of the boats here. The numbers can come down, but we'll try and... But this affects and impacts on all of us in every walk of life. So if you have too many people coming into the country, and many of those that do go on to commit crimes because they are from a different culture, as the last voice note just set out, then we have a courts backlog. We have a courts problem, which means that actual crimes that are committed in this country get extended. People that are actually victims, maybe of rape and sexual violence, that always it takes longer to get those crimes heard. They're still part of the backlog. Our NHS gets overcooked because you've got too many people coming in using it for free healthcare. healthcare. Our housing crisis that is already in crisis becomes even more so in crisis because you've got to house these people that have come over because this government has got the strength to deport them. Then we could talk about the economy. Then you talk about crime. You know, two-tier policing, where police are now taking sides with foreigners that come into this country illegally over maybe the British public. That creates a two-tier policing system. All of this impacts the UK, whether it's the health service, our housing, our crime and police and criminal justice system. Everything is interconnected.
Absolutely.
And until somebody gets a grip on it and throws it out in those terms to say that's why we've got to be tough with these people, because we're protecting our communities and making sure we can actually manage the economy, our healthcare system and our people in the right way, because we're seeing this explosion of growth in our country, then until it's framed in that way, we're never going to get a grip on it.
You had me at hello.
Hello.
Phil, as I love about it, brilliant. Phil, what I love about our listeners, all 11 of them, he's telling me off. Morning, Phil.
Morning, Jeremy. Morning, Charlie. The Spanish enclave is not Ceuta, it's Ceuta. Cheers.
Ceuta?
Now we know.
Ceuta? How am I supposed to say that? Ceuta? What's that mean? It's Ceuta, isn't it?
Well...
What do you want to say? You're good. What is it?
Oh, I'd defer to...
Of course you do.
I'd defer
Talk
to
TV, morning, Jeremy. Migrants, what is up with our politicians? Why can they not close all the illegal entry points into the UK? Why? Burnham will be the same as two-tier Starmer. Complete and utter rubbish, says Max in Warwickshire. Good morning, Keith in Nottingham. Morning, Jez and Charlie Farley. How can we be surprised that the British public would not join our armed forces and fight for this country when the government doesn't fight for the British people? Very interesting. Hello to Joe. I think I speak for many when I say it's all very depressing what's going on. We have so many big problems in this country, yet no one is doing anything about it. We may get a few choice words, but that to me seems to be all. As a taxpayer, I feel robbed of my money, and as a female, I constantly worry about my safety. Would you like to read this out to one of those lefty Gardenista left-wing women who think that I'm... Never mind. All those Moroccans invading Spain will be on the way here for free accommodation, food and everything else. It's massively depressing, and I find myself every morning asking, where will it end? Couldn't agree more. Steve's in Barnsley. This is going to be a Scooby-Doo moment when they grab Burnham's face and pull it up, revealing Starmer's face underneath, while saying he would have got away with it if it wasn't for those pesky kids. Maybe Burnham is indeed Starmer in drag. I mean, in a mask.
In drag?
What?
In drag.
Don't start. Liam, good morning.
Morning, Jezza. Morning, Charlie. Liam from Kent. I've got a good one for you to shut any lefty down, especially on the migration problem. Tell them, I've got a bag with 1,000 sweets in, but 2 of them sweets are going to kill you. So, are you going to take a sweet from that bag? Because most of them say no. So it's very simple, isn't it? I've 1,000 migrants come in, 2 of them might harm people. You're going to let them all in? No. I mean, for God's sake, this is a joke now. Absolute joke. It's pointless me getting proper angry like Angry Rob, because if I did, I'd drive myself insane. Anyway, have a great show, and P.S., on the lighter note, I'm having a week off next week, so I'm going to have a week out of the lorry. Take it easy, boys.
I'm having a week off next week. I'm having a week out of the studio. So, are you having a week off? Are you not joining me?
I never have a week off, you know me.
You haven't got a job.
I'm on...
For anybody tuning in, Charlie used to be known as former special advisor, Conservative advisor. That's turned out to be a fabrication. Neither was he an advisor, neither was he special, so you are now known as just former.
But I'm special to you, I think.
Oh, very special. Let's have a bit of fun for 10 minutes. If you wanted to add a word to Charlie Rowley, former what? What? If you tuned in and you didn't know that he apparently was some sort of advisor who, by his own admission, gave crap advice and wasn't special in any way, what would you say Charlie was? Former 87222, the surprise for your event. We've done Liam. Can I just talk about drilling? I did say a couple of weeks ago that Burnham has a particularly good opportunity here, weirdly, because he's not under any scrutiny from Parliament for 2 weeks to dish out these sweets. I loved the last email, the last message. He yesterday admitted that drilling can ease the cost of living, signalling a break with Ed Miliband's ridiculous net zero policy. The new PM concedes that Britain can't ignore resources in the new sea. That's great and all. That will bring money. But then, of course, straight away, The Telegraph quite possibly put the best headline of the morning, Labour's 18 billion council tax rate, because it apparently says that his idea is to increase people's council tax, some by £500 by 2030, to fund some of what he's doing. So we'll do a bit of drilling, we'll increase council tax, we'll probably bring a death duty, so anybody who's worked really, really hard, we'll allow all these migrants to come in, we're going to raise taxes, we're going to make it really, you know, we're going to talk about the important things like social care and all these sorts of things, we're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it. We're not going to cancel foreign aid budgets, we're not going to look at welfare where people are sponging off us and getting more than we get when we pay tax. If I didn't disagree with him so fundamentally, I wouldn't be able to say this. He's quite good at it, though, isn't he? He's quite good at the messaging, but that's why we have to dissect it, don't we?
Well, you're absolutely right. Look, you know, the last occupant of number 10, Keir Starmer, was so poor in communication and having any kind of strategy, we don't know what he was doing. I mean, he was doing things that weren't even in the manifesto, like, you know, taking away the winter fuel payment as one of his first things that he ever did. No one asked for that, no one voted for that. So all of these things, taxing farmers, for example, on inheritance tax. You know, the list went, you know, you did a great, you know, piece with a whole list of things that the last government did, which nobody asked for, nobody voted for. And now we've got, OK, someone that can communicate a little bit better, that might be able to do the social media a bit. We all think he's sort of, you know, God's gift. But he's still the same old Labour. It's
substance. Where's the substance? Where's the detail? Where are the answers?
It's giving with one hand and it'll be taking back with another. And that's why you're right. The Telegraph headline is so profound. But, you know, let's hope that oil drilling can take place, because by the end of the last government, the only credit maybe to Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, and I don't think many people will be sitting in this chair saying that.
No, what are you going on about? Rachel Thieves?
They had come to the conclusion that we can actually drill in the North Sea. And so it was Rachel Reeves, Keir Starmer, John Swinney, Nigel Farage, Kemi Badenoch.
John who?
John Swinney, the First Minister of Scotland.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were about John Healey.
No,
Sweeney. It's not Swinney.
Sweeney.
Sweeney.
It's Swinney, John Swinney, isn't it?
Is it Swinney? Oh, don't start.
John Swinney.
I think it's actually spelt Swinney, but it could be Sweeney.
Well, attend that tale.
Yes, there you go.
But Octopus Energy, Energy UK, everybody was saying, at the GMB union, so big far left, you know, Labour unions were saying, we need to drill, we can drill. And the only person that was resisting that was Ed Miliband. And now what job has he got on the international stage as Foreign Secretary? The ability to go and tell all other countries, you don't need to drill or go back to...
Is anybody listening to him, though? Check this for duplicity. Louis is in York. He says, I came back from France yesterday. While sat at Calais, I was stopped by the French police. I was that angry that they looked at my full car with children with a fine-tooth comb, spoke to me like a criminal, was told to get out of the car. I said, you won't find any migrants in there. They're down the road on your beach. Getting off at Dover while I was stopped again, spoken to like a criminal. I said, no migrants in here. The hardest way to get into the country is by showing your bloody passport. How did that ever become true? How, honestly... How true is that? Well, how true is that? The hardest way to get into Great Britain is if you're somebody from Great Britain with a bloody passport. It takes about 4 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And look,
I'm swimming home.
And look, I like France.
I don't like France, and I don't like the French, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend. And I want my money back. Sorry, I don't care. I'm not interested.
I like
late to everything except for picking up the money.
Well, I like French wine, and I like some areas in France.
Hold on, sorry, Christian. I wish you could hear Christian. What, you don't even like Nice? It's nice down there. Might well be nice down there, right? It's hugely expensive and full of French people. I don't mind France. I hate the fact that. Do you know, this is going to get me completely cancelled. My biggest criticism of Thatcher, who promoted us as an island, stand in your own 2 feet, build your houses, build your businesses. She built the Channel Tunnel. I don't want to be. I didn't understand that at all as an island, where we built a bloody Channel Tunnel so that all these... And presumably what we'll have next is the migrants will come pouring through the Channel Tunnel.
Well, some of them do. It's a long old journey. But I didn't know whether Christian didn't like Nice or just his niece. I wasn't quite sure whether family relations are...
I think he was thinking about Nice biscuits.
Nice biscuits.
Why would we think about that when the delightful lunch his wife's made him? I've no idea at all. Have you seen that? Have you seen the lunch she made? It's lovely. It's lovely.
I'll have a look. I'll have a look on my way out.
Look at the bottom of a parrot cage. That's what it has to be, honestly. But he never eats anything unhealthy. We'll all be here eating breakfasts, and he just steadfastly sticks to his vitamins and his healthy food. Never have I seen a secret McDonald's breakfast pass his chops.
Well, that's very good. That's very good.
Paul says, Charlie, the former What does that mean?
I think we were doing impressions of Burnham, weren't we, the other day? I think.
Let's finish in a light-hearted way, because it's been migrants and it will be all morning. Hold on a second. Please stop pronouncing Ceuta. Read the name. Ceuta. That cannot be pronounced Ceuta. For heaven's sake, dear fellow, says Nick in Loughborough. Hold on. This is how you're supposed to say it. Here we go.
Ceuta.
Sorry?
Ceuta.
Ceuta. What?
Ceuta.
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 Ceuta. La cuenta, por favore. Muchas gracias, muy bien.
Oh, you prefer Spain,
That's
obviously.
the bill.
Then.
Oh, is that not where they're going?
You prefer Spain to France?
Oh, God,
No,
of course I prefer Spain. Don't you prefer the Mediterranean to the France? You like it. You like a Mediterranean, don't you?
I do.
Morning, Jess. Is Charlie ready formally hinge?
Formally hinge.
So what are you going to do next week without me? Will you still be coming in here and pretending that you care about Ian Collins? The brilliant Ian Collins, by the way. I couldn't think of anything better to do this show.
I'll have to put it on. I'll have to lay it on thick. But I will miss you. You know that.
I've heard that's something you're not very good at. Steve's in Cambridge. Charlie, former, definitely not a hairdresser. Oh, I say.
But it has grown back.
Charlie ready, formerly a guinea pig for barbers. A great show. Have a great weekend. They didn't like that haircut.
They did, but no. It is due a little trim, because it is...
No, well, if you have it trimmed while I'm away, leave the sides and get the top attached. The top looks like a bird's nest.
It's a bit much, is it? It's overgrown.
But you are smelling better today after your debacle with the shirts. 3 minutes to 7, we're live across the UK. 0344 499 1000. So, it is all about migrants, to be honest. That footage yesterday, Charlie, 20,000 migrants swimming from Morocco into the Spanish enclave of...
Ceuta.
Oh, brilliant. So let's do it. Right. It is all about migrants. Yesterday, 20,000 of them swing from Morocco into the Spanish enclave of...
Ceuta.
Thank you very much indeed. A court had said you can get from Morocco to...
Ceuta.
And it's not going to cost you any money. And once you arrive in...
Ceuta.
You will have the most fantastic life. So, actually, the truth is I'm not going on holiday with my children. I'm going to...
Ceuta.
Where I'm going to set up the show from...
Ceuta.
And we will be live and exclusive from...
Ceuta.
in a couple of weeks. So there we go. What time have I got to finish? Oh, 58. Do you want to say bye?
I'll see you there.
Well, I think you might be here after 7 anyway, because you hang around, don't you? Like a bad smell.
I do like the breakfast in the morning.
He says you're not having breakfast, you're staying. We pay you too much. We're back after news at 7. She'll be here as well. Bye.
Intention to run for a 4th term as President of the United States. I won 3 times, did very well the 2nd time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it.
It's an entire community in their heads, and he knows how to push it and literally send them off. I thought he was actually more restrained last night than we've seen in just his regular speeches. I mean, he's got comedic timing. He is the funniest president we've ever had, and man, he was playing it on all fours last night.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends, or welcome along. Just gone 7 o'clock Friday, the 31st of July, the last day of the year, so net in the month, rather. So tomorrow it'll be pinch and a punch for the first of the month, which you can't do anymore because you'll be told you're abusing somebody and be reported. Welcome along to the home of common sense. This is the station that talks about the things that we think you want to talk about. Well, you tell us, because your views on the day's news are what this station is all about, and it is all about that subject that annoys so many people. Yes, we can hear about the World Cup boycott because FIFA want to sell off the World Cup. We can hear Trump say that he's finally going to get disarmament amongst Hamas in Gaza, and we'll keep an eye on that. But I don't know if you saw the footage yesterday, 20,000 migrants swimming from Morocco into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Thank you very much indeed. After a court ruled that anyone arriving by sea could not be forced back. They were just astonishing photos, showing it now. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen footage like this. I watched Kev O'Sullivan cover it so brilliantly. It is shocking, and it's one of those things that many on the left and many in the mainstream media don't want to talk about. They see us as a country, England, whereby we should do what's right. And I think we have done for years. And I go back to that Ukrainian, Homes for Ukraine. We proved it. But we are at a point in this country, and this isn't hyperbole, where, 752 migrants arrived in the United Kingdom yesterday. And let's get the human reality out there as well. 4 dying while they're trying to come across illegally. We're giving France £500 million a year. We had footage yesterday of them just being waved through on the beaches, of helicopters lighting the beaches at night. This is not... Oh, look at that. Since Labour came to power 2 years ago, our migrant tracker shows 78,807 illegal migrants have come into this country. Yesterday, Andy Burnham, for the second time, was asked about, in essence, what is, I would suspect, the main issue in many people's minds. Of course, Charlie Rowley's still with me, cost of living, but people's minds are fixated on this. This is what Burnham said.
When it comes to the wider issues around the Channel and immigration, obviously there are crossings this week, but overall, if you look at the picture in 2026 compared to last year, 2025, there is significant progress in terms of reducing the number of crossings, the number of people coming over. But there is much further to be done to get the grip on the issue that we require. The Home Secretary is applying that grip, and I'm grateful to her, but more is needed to get those numbers right down. The removals are up too, though, and this is another part of the story that people need to understand. There is progress being made on all fronts, but more is needed.
Whilst, Charlie, I'm prepared to try and give Burnham the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to repeat something for people who have just tuned in that was released by the Home Office yesterday on the basis of what he just said about removals are up. We are aware, posted the Home Office yesterday morning, of posts circulating online that seem to claim that French law enforcement are failing to prevent small boat channel crossings. OK. UK-French cooperation, says the Home Office, has already stopped 46,000 attempted crossings since the last election. So on my tracker it says 78,807 have come in, but they are saying that 46,000 have attempted and have stopped, and deportations are up. I take my hat off again. I'll do it every time I mention the Centre for Migration Control. Top people. The Home Office, they tweeted straight away. Talk about putting somebody in its place. The Home Office claims it has removed or deported 70,000 people. Here are the facts, UK. 35% of that 70,000, Charlie, which is, by my maths, about 28,000, left without officials even realising they'd arrived, knew what their names were, or knew that they'd left. That's quite relevant. 26% were paid by us, the taxpayer, to leave, which leaves about 26 or 27%, and 2 out of 3 of them were Europeans. It's a joke.
Absolutely. And you can tell from the tone of the tweet from the Home Office is that they just want to collie up to the French, that they want to play nice with the French, that they want it to be seen as a partnership and that we're working in collaboration with our French...
Can you get me that Chris Philp thing with the two gendarmes when he's saying this? Because this is so important.
Exactly, but
they want us to believe that what? The French are doing a good job for us?
Yeah, because the UK government, I believe, wants to have a better relationship with France. That's something that Starmer, I think, obviously tried. But that's obviously the view of the Home Office, because otherwise you'd be calling it out for what it is.
Well, we played Chris Philp, and I saluted him. The the Shadow Home Secretary got himself over to the beaches in France, something that I thought other politicians would be doing, but he took the lead. And there he is talking to two gendarmes, right? This is genuinely true. We're paying France £500 million, and this is what they're told and what they do. If this is cooperation, my name's Agnes. Have a watch.
Why have you allowed the migrants into the water? Why haven't you stopped them?
Our order is to let them go like that.
Your order is to let them go?
We just have to say to them, don't do that, it's dangerous.
What hope have you got? What hope have you got?
Yeah.
We're giving them 500 million quid under the guise of Starmer or Labour, who want to have a better relationship with Europe. You were a former special advisor. We now just call you former. Can I ask you this? Do you think part of the issue, the money to France and all of this, is that Europe is punishing us through migration because of Brexit? Because I do. I always have done.
Yeah, totally. You know, it's a problem that they didn't want well, they see it as a problem, Brexit. They didn't want us to leave. And they will, you know, we see this in, you know, all kinds of ways which the EU wants to punish us. You know, like people that are going on holiday now, they will have to queue maybe a bit longer. Certainly
I have to queue for 4 hours to come back into my own country.
Which is ridiculous.
I come on a kayak.
But people will say, well, that's Brexit for you. It's not Brexit. That's the co-op. That is up to the independent, the nations themselves. The UK doesn't do that to other... We've left, but we still give that benefit to EU citizens that want to come to the UK. We still allow them to use the e-passport gates. We always have. We probably always will. But it was EU countries that wanted to punish the Brits. Now, that is their mentality, because they didn't like us leaving the club. Fine. But it's been 10 years now, so everybody's got to, put their big boy pants on, if I can put it like that. Get round the table, actually solve a crisis that is only going to still impact on France as well, because...
Oh, stand by, sorry. The BBC and Sky are finally at 7:10 talking about the migration problem. Morning, Shawnee.
Morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby here, seeing what happened on this Spanish island and what's been happening on our south coast for a couple of days. It's just shocking. When a man seeks refuge, he brings his family with him. When a man goes to war, he leaves his family behind. And this is exactly what's happening here. The politicians say they can't stop it. They say it's against the law, but they can stop it if they really wanted to, but they don't want to. It's like these politicians in Europe and in the UK want this to happen. I don't care where these people are from, whether they're from Eritrea, whether from the Congo, whether from Iran, whether from Afghanistan. I don't want them here. They are not like us, Jeremy, and they should stay elsewhere, anywhere but here. Great show, mate.
Great show. Although Tony from Ruislip doesn't like me and said, I'm so looking forward to next week when you're away, the breakfast show with the Housewives' Choice. That's Ian and Charlie Rowley. So there you go. Wow. I can deal with that. We say a very good morning to a man who last appeared on the show in a linen suit, the colour of tobacco. It was revolting. Benedict Spence, whose apartment is he in this morning? Oh, look, he's not looking too tired.
Oh, whose apartment would you like it to be? I can't decide whose apartment I'm going to be based on what your choice is, Jeremy. I have many different apartments to be visiting at various different times of the day.
Yeah, night, Spence, but there we go.
Absolutely.
Great to have you here. Charlie is still with us. I was just saying, and you and I, the three of us, have worked closely for a long while. That footage, Benedict, yesterday from the Maltese, I should say the Spanish enclave of
Ceuta.
Thank you very much indeed. I thought it was the most shocking stuff I've ever seen, but the reality is this isn't going to stop, is it, pal?
It's not, and this was sadly very predictable, what with Spain's recent efforts to naturalise a large deal of migrants and give them sort of effective immunity from having entered the country illegally. And then, of course, with the announcement by the Spanish court that it was perfectly legal for them to do so and illegal for people to push them back if they swam in. And I mean, if your viewers are looking at the images that are currently on the screen, those that are watching, you'll see the sort of the scale of this, the scale in which this is happening, but also, frankly, one has to wonder whether or not it was organised in advance. I don't believe that it can simply have been a spontaneous crossing of thousands and thousands of people. That's not how these sorts of things happen. It was a large amount of people that turned up. They all appeared to be of a certain kind of background, that is to say, young men. No women or children or anything like that. And again, this is one of those things where you have to just sort of sit back and think it is an insane government policy in Spain that has allowed this, that has sort of prompted people to try their luck, for a court to then come out and say that people are perfectly within their rights to attempt to enter another country like this. I mean, how it was that people didn't see that a large number of people like that would come, I don't know, which is partly why I actually think maybe it was in fact foreseen. Now, the Spanish government, as your listeners may or may not know, is a very far left government by most people's standards. It makes Keir Starmer look positively conservative, all things considered. And Spain also has the situation where only about half of the people that rock up in that country actually end up staying there. The majority do move on. I think that this was a very deliberate ploy by the Spanish government.
It is actually true, both of you, is it not, that those two areas, the first one's called, what's the first one called?
Ceuta.
Thank you. The second one's called Melilla, are enclaves of Spain which Morocco want back. And many people actually, Benedict, are saying, and Charlie, that is that why this was orchestrated and organised? But I want to talk about the bigger issue, which for some people is still unpalatable, and we'll try and get as many views as possible. I mean, we have talked about this problem for months and months because the British people have real concerns, and the left will not identify those concerns. Yesterday, Benedict, 752 migrants reaching the UK. I will not listen anymore to people telling me that these are people escaping war-torn countries. They're economic migrants who see this country as an easy option, who will give them more than other countries. They're not arriving with their children and their wives. They're coming on their own. They disappear into society. I was given a figure. The 752 yesterday at 40 grand a year will cost the British taxpayer 30 million quid. Money we haven't got. Why, in your opinion, can certain politicians continue to believe that by fobbing us off and by trying to excuse this drain on a society that is struggling with a cost of living crisis, that this can hold? Because it can't make much longer, can it?
I don't think that it can. I mean, just as an aside there, I mean, I know people are talking about, the designation of Ceuta and Melilla, but they are, Ceuta has been, I think, Spanish for 600 years and Melilla for 500 years. These are not places that they very recently colonized. But, it's interesting also to see which countries are backing that particular ploy. But, to go back to your other point, I think it's kind of getting to that stage where a lot of politicians do understand how toxic this issue is. They are starting to sort of comprehend the scale of the problem. What we've seen with Andy Burnham is he's not really talking about migration very much at all. He's trying to talk about everything else because I think what he wants is to get a few wins under his belt before he has to deal with the very thorny issue of migration. Because he, on the one hand, has to face down his party, many of whom think that this sort of thing is actually a good thing. And then on the other hand...
Can I stop you there? Can you and Charlie, with your experience, explain to me how anybody thinks, this is a real crux for me, 752 unvetted men came to this country yesterday. Can you please explain, both of you, separately, how, because I've got to house them, feed them, water them, process them, how does that benefit the United Kingdom?
Who's going first?
Charlie. How does that benefit us?
Well, it doesn't. But apart from those that on the left say that, our standing on the international stage only grows because we are so generous. And, it is the right thing to do morally, our international obligations to help these people. It is right to help people who are in genuine need, as we talked about before, people from Ukraine, for example, a whole scheme that we set up, the right thing to do. And Ukrainians that have actually integrated into communities and made a contribution. That is the perfect legitimate way to do it. But what we're seeing is the total opposite. We're seeing, as you say, those 752 people on top of however many other thousands of people that have come into the country that will be fed, that will be housed, that would be given the benefits, and that go on maybe to have to be deported because they've committed crimes, or people that are in the system that, as you said before, we don't know where they are because they're in the country, unaccounted for. The Home Office don't know where they are, and working illegally as maybe takeaway drivers or in car washes or in nail bars or whatever it is, illegally. So it helps us not at all.
Couldn't agree more. Benedict?
I mean, what Charlie's saying there about the motivations, which is that, a lot of this is to do with sort of prestige on the international stage. I think that there's a lot in that, and that's because, ultimately these are people who like to rub shoulders with other members of sort of the international left. And
they don't assume for a minute that we're being laughed at by the rest of the world, no?
Oh, we're being laughed at by most of the third world because they are able to pass off their economically unproductive young male surplus population onto us.
Yeah.
And, there are certain things that have to be sort of delved into right there that can be quite toxic. But just to finish this actual point, on top of that, on top of it being about a prestige thing where they can turn around to their mates and say, well, look how nice we are, there is also the understanding, and, they're pretty open and shut about this. We see this in the fact that they want to rip down the flag whenever people put it up. It's because, fundamentally, they don't like the idea of Britain as it used to be, or indeed as it currently is. They believe in changing it fundamentally, something that is quote-unquote multicultural, because they believe that something that is multicultural is relatively classless. They believe that that will usher in the end of Britain's sort of traditional setup, which, of course, the political left in this country was established to try and render down. That was the whole point of the Labour movement at the start. Now, it's massively turned away from its original goal, its original aim, but that is still one of the underpinning points. But, as I say, when we're talking about, you just said, the rest of the world laughing at how it is that we're handling this, because they're able to pass off their unproductive population, there's the irony. You and I both know that this country has millions of people on out-of-work benefits who are not able to sort of do anything with their day, largely because of the direction of industry in this country. So do those countries. Morocco has that problem. Turkey has that problem. All of these countries have that problem. The difference is they're able to pick up their surplus populations and go, off you go to Europe, go to the West and say that you're a migrant, say that you're a refugee. They'll house you, they'll clothe you, they'll feed you. We're not able to do that. We don't have somewhere that we can just pick up and dump people who can't do any work. The only place that people go in this country, ultimately, is if they're very smart and they work hard, they go to the United States because they like to get paid.
Where does it, both of you together, we all agree in different ways, where does it end, Charlie? Seriously, because we were talking about this, Benedict, just to bring you in earlier on, and I would never advocate anything, but I sense real simmering anger amongst the silent majority. Whatever the left want to say, this isn't going to go away. And when you release figures, as the Home Office did, which have been blown apart by the Centre for Migration Control, when you have over the years, under this guise of seemingly trying to do the right thing, spoon-fed BS to the British public who have swallowed it, because actually, let's be perfectly honest, there wasn't a cost of living crisis. It wasn't harder or impossible to go to the doctor, go to the dentist, go on holiday, all those sorts of things. I think British people's minds have been focused about how unfair this whole system is. Where does it end, Charlie?
Well, not for the foreseeable, until there is a...
No, how bad does it get?
Well, I think it only continues to go in the direction of travel that we're currently seeing, where there will be still thousands of people, or hundreds of people on a day-to-day basis that are coming over the channel over August, maybe into September, if we have a nice September in terms of the weather, because it's the weather that helps aid those boat crossings. Until, I'm afraid, but we've already seen it, until you start to see again people that come into this country that have broken into the country illegally to go on to commit serious crimes, then I think that's what really gets people going. Rightly so. And until they're deported. But you need a deterrent in the first place. We've got no deterrent.
Absolutely.
That was the thing. Whether you were for Rwanda or not, I was pro the Rwanda scheme.
I thought it was OK. I just thought that Sunak took too bloody long to implement it.
Quite right. Because you need politicians with the absolute,
well, the cojones.
The cojones, exactly. To be able to say, right, all the lawyers that are sitting in front of me to say, Prime Minister, that might be a bit difficult. Actually, you might get some pushback.
You're fired.
Fine. I'll go to court. I'll defend it. I'll get a better lawyer. But get that plane off the tarmac. I've agreed this unilaterally with Rwanda, an independent government. We're an independent government as Britain. I want that flight going now. And that should be the end of it. But you know, the spooking of lawyers and the legal classes, I think,
it's really interesting, actually, what Charlie just said, Benedict, about, you know, we always talk about the ECHR. I remember when I started this job and the debate started, people would say, yes, but it's only Russia and Belarus that don't ignore that, and they're awful. But actually, most European countries ignore it and say, we'll see you in court. I don't know whether Andy Burnham's the man. I don't think he is. I don't know. We need a conviction politician who doesn't give a damn whether the left jump up and down, that needs to do the right thing by this country, don't we? Isn't that the answer, ultimately?
I don't believe that Burnham is that man either, for all we might try and give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, how this ends is one of two things. Either the numbers of people keep on coming, in which case there are then two separate outcomes. Either somehow we find some sort of way to assimilate those people, or they don't assimilate and we get the continued fragmentation of society a la the Balkans, which I don't need to spell out actually how that ends. It's a very negative thing. The other side of this is that we do get a government that understands that people who are here illegally cannot stay, but also that huge numbers of people who are here legally do not actually have any intention of assimilating, and there will need to be some way of repatriating those that are here illegally. Now, the problem is I don't think that that's going to happen until somebody else takes the lead on that. It'll have to be another European country has to A, do it, and B, see that it can be done successfully before a European country like Britain, I think, will have the gumption to do it. Now, other countries do it actually quite regularly. Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, all of these countries have no qualms with picking up the illegal populations in their country and sending them overseas. But there is a squeamishness in Europe about the idea of the mass movement and detention of people. We all know why that is. It's a hangover from the Second World War, because anytime you try and do something like that, people shout Nazis, Holocaust, prison camps, all of this sort of thing. And that's where the conversation gets shut down. There needs to get to a point where that is no longer the fear. And the irony is, I think that the first country that ends up doing something like this, rounding up illegal migrants and deporting them en masse, will actually be Germany, because of the scale of the problem that they have there.
I couldn't agree more. Both. Listen, thank you so much, Benedict. We don't know where you are, but we love having you on. You're a top man. Charlie, an hour and 20 minutes. You need to go and lie down in a dark room on your own. Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. You're great. 7:24, we're back. We've got a Liberal Democrat MP, Christine Jardine, next on the Jeremy Kyle Show.
Borders have been opened to Islamist extremists. They are radicalising individuals in broad daylight, nurturing anti-Semitism, and they've been caught red-handed on multiple occasions, yet the government is refusing to act. That's across Europe, by the way. It's not just in France. It's not just in Germany. It's here. It's happening here in the United Kingdom. It's happening on our soil.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Friday morning, July 31st. We're live across the UK. It's the home of common sense, and where your views on the day news matter. Please keep the calls coming. 0344 419 1000. Text to 87222. Just a bit of breaking news. You saw those 20,000 Moroccans swimming to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Thank you very much indeed. Yesterday, reports coming out. You know, the reality of saying, oh, there's an amnesty. Spain has just now mobilised its army as stores and bars close after thousands of migrants stormed the town. And here's the other human side of it. 18 people die on the trip. I've tried very hard on this show and this station to try and get all sides of the argument. I'm delighted, therefore, to say a very good morning to Liberal Democrat MP. It's been a while. Christine Jardine, good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well.
I'd love, which is why I wanted you on, and they haven't got long, what's the Liberal Democrat view of what happened, and won yesterday in that Spanish enclave, but more importantly, what is happening in the United Kingdom? And does the Liberal Democrat Party understand how toxic this issue is becoming for the British people?
Nobody likes what's happening in the Channel. Nobody likes to see people drowning. Nobody likes to see that. Nobody wants to see that. We all know that the immigration system is broken and we have to fix it. And to say that, people are not aware of it or don't care is unfair. We are all aware of it, and we're all hoping that this government gets to grips with it. And, to be fair to them, they have done a better job of getting to grips with it than the Conservative government did. And I do find it ironic when I listen to Reform going on about it, and Nigel Farage in particular, because it was Brexit. Pre-Brexit, we didn't have this problem. This stems from Brexit, because pre-Brexit, we could say to people who came here from France or Spain or Italy or any other European country, you landed there first, you have to stay there. Now, we can't do that now because we left the European Union and that agreement no longer exists. But what we have to do is find a way of making sure that there are no boat crossings, that we do something about it. Every summer we have this problem. The government is trying to get to grips with it by making it less attractive to come to this country. And I agree.
Christine,
I agree.
How?
Hang on, let me finish. The one thing I would say is that if people come here and they want to stay, then they should work. They shouldn't be living on these meagre handouts. They should work. They should be contributing.
All right,
they should be paying tax.
So it's important.
And we should have a much better system than we've got that got broken 10 years ago.
You bring. I haven't mentioned Nigel Farage all morning. I don't want to talk about Nigel Farage. I want to talk about the Liberal Democrats. I just want to pick up on a couple of things. You blame Brexit for the movement. Hear me out. You don't in any way blame, you call the meagre, that's what you just said, the meagre handouts. How do you justify to hard-working men and women across Britain, working people, by the way, working people, who would recoil to hear you say meagre when these people are afforded things that hard-working Brits couldn't even dream of? We can talk about Brexit in a minute. How do you ally what you just said to British people who ring in the thousands and say to me, I cannot even survive hardly at the moment, genuinely, and these people are getting handouts?
You don't need to tell me. Jeremy, you don't need to tell me that. I'm an MP. I help people every week who cannot afford to pay their bills.
What do they say about this? What do your constituents say about it,
If you would let me speak, I would say, I talk to people every week. They come to me for help. I know what it's like. I don't sit in, London. I am here in my constituency working with people. I know the damage that has been done to people in this country by bad government over the past 10 years. I know the damage that's been done to the cost of living. I know that what we need is good governance. And what I said was that we need people who come to this country to work, and that to make a contribution, specifically because we have a problem. We can't afford to the situation that we're in at the moment. So what I would say is that, yes, I want people who come here to work. I don't want them to be given handouts. I want them to work, and I have said that consistently the entire 9 years.
I haven't said you haven't, but I'm trying to ask you a question. You said we want people to work, so let me ask you, because I've still can never get out of my head that Darren Jones clip. When you see, hear me out for a second, when you see not Aaron Jones, women and children, but hordes of unvetted men coming to this country, do you believe that any of them, Christine Jardine, any of them have any desire or belief that they're going to have to work? Because I don't. I think they come here for what we give them. I think that's a perfectly justifiable criticism.
This is why the government, that what you are saying, the belief that people are not coming here to work, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, to give the government credit, that is why the government is trying. Yvette Cooper, when she was Home Secretary, and now Shabana Mahmood, what they're trying to do is to disincentivise coming here, so that people who maybe think they're going to get an easy ride when they come here, are disincentivised, and that the people who come here are genuine refugees, genuine asylum seekers.
But they're not.
But
None of them are.
No, hang on, Jeremy. There are, whether you know you agree with it or not, but you know, and whether I agree that some of them are coming here looking for jobs, that doesn't matter. It is a simple fact that a lot of the people who come to this country are fleeing persecution. Now, what we have to do.
But Christian, you're going to tell me I'm not letting you speak. You have to be able to talk in facts. I'm sorry, you have to. Yesterday we had the Home Office. I am talking in facts with the greatest respect. You cannot come out with comments like, some of them are escaping persecution. So tell me yesterday, in your mind, important we get it, 752 migrants reached the UK yesterday, biggest channel crossings of the year. 4, and I touched upon it all morning, the human disaster. 4 died, for Christ's sake. That's awful. The Home Office put out, Christine, we are aware of posts circulating online that claim French law enforcement are failing to prevent it. We say, this is the UK-French cooperation, has already stopped 46,000 attempted crossings. So that's what the Home Office put out. Now, the Centre for Migration Control then put out some figures, and this wasn't reported highly, but they said that the government has claimed it's removed or deported 70,000 people, Christine. 35% of that 70,000 left without officials even knowing that A, they were here, B, they knew their names, or B, that they'd come in the first place. And 26%, Christine, I'm not blaming you, I'm trying to have the conversation, were paid to leave. When will we drop this ludicrous belief that these people who cross 7 unwar-torn countries without their wives and kids come to the United Kingdom to apparently work? They come because we give them far more, Christine, surely you can agree this, than any other country, which is why they come here, don't they?
It's an argument you need to take up with the government, but what I said was that we need to disincentivise it. We need to break the gangs who are making money out of people coming here. That is what we need to do, and that is what we need the government to do. And we have had 10 years of government that didn't do that, and that is the problem. And we have to allow this government the opportunity to do it. Now, they say, as you said, they say that the figures are lower, that they are coming down, that their policies are working. Now, I will believe the evidence. When we get the next round of figures, I will believe what the evidence tells me. But what we have to do is we have to recognise that, as you said yourself, it's a serious problem. I don't want people dying in the Channel. I don't like that idea. I don't want people dying swimming to Spain, to Ceuta, which is somewhere actually I've been, and that anyone could swim there, I think, is remarkable. But that would try to swim there even is remarkable. But we have to do something, yes, about the immigration system, which is broken. But I don't think it's as simple as just saying we need to round people up and send them away. There are people who come here with legitimate reasons, and the people who come here legally and with legitimate reasons.
Do you think the legitimate reasons do you believe that the people that come here for legitimate reasons outweigh the people who come here because they can see absolutely what the United Kingdom gives them over and above other countries? It's a really important question. Do you believe that a majority of the 752 yesterday are coming here because they are being persecuted?
I don't know why they came here yesterday, but that's what we need to find out when they get here.
Well, why do you think they came here? Do you think they... I'm not asking you a perfectly justifiable decision. Do you think they're being persecuted?
I'm not going to make sweeping statements about people who I don't know and I've never met come here. What I know is we have a problem. And what I know is that we have people who come here genuinely, who come here legally, who are entitled to be here, who our system welcomes. And those people need our help. Now, if there are people who are coming here for different reasons, on boats who are coming here illegally, then that is a problem. And what we need is a government to fix it. And the government for the past 10 years haven't fixed it. And this government is trying to fix it. They say they're making progress. What I'm saying is I want to see the figures. I want to see the figures the next time they're produced. And
a couple of very quick questions, because I know you're busy. Do you believe this is a national emergency, Christine?
Oh, I think it's is a serious problem. It's something that we haven't got to grips with. That's a particular term which involves particular things, and a legal term actually. And I think what we need is to address what is a critical problem that we have failed to address for 10 years. We need to break the gangs, and we need to make it very difficult for them, because it's gangs who are bringing people here, and the government has said that's part of their policy, and we need to hold them to that they need to break the gangs, that they need to bring the figures down, because, Jeremy, none of us like it. None of us want it.
Final question. It's important to get all sides. By the way, fleeing persecution from Morocco. Jet2 are still advertising last-minute holidays, by the way. But here's the point I wanted to ask you. Why do people of a certain political ilk, and let me just say, I have everybody on this show, and that's important. Why do you start every sentence with, hear me out, please, there will be people who are coming here who are fleeing persecution? Why don't you start your sentence ever, people who are perhaps not on the right of politics, and I include Labour and the Liberal Democrats and others, the Greens, why do you start with there are people fleeing persecution rather than there are hordes of people coming to this country who are not fleeing persecution, who have not brought their wives and kids and are having their backsides wiped by a country, hear me out, that cannot afford it, they don't have a right to be here, and actually and I hate to use it, Christine, so you'll jump down my throat, the indigenous population, the very working people that Labour and all the left apparently care about, are struggling as a result. Why won't you start a sentence with people are coming here to take advantage of us? Why will you not say that?
But why will you not say that among those people are people who are fleeing persecution? Because I recognise that not everything is simple.
I recognise that of the 752 yesterday, no, I would absolutely guarantee, I don't know, so tell me if I'm wrong, please somebody phone me, how many of the 752 were escaping persecution? I'd wager very, 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 very few.
We find that out by talking to them. And yet, the problem is the gangs. The problem is the gangs.
That's what Starmer said.
The government has to break the gangs. They have said they will do that, and we have to hold them to that. That the problem is that people are being encouraged by these gangs who make money out of them. They're, dying in the channel, and that is a huge problem. And nobody, Jeremy, nobody on any side of politics thinks that that is acceptable.
No, I agree with you.
And none of us believe that it's acceptable.
Listen, it's
you
important.
Agree with me, my goodness.
No, but that's the point. Christine, listen, genuinely hand on heart, right? The whole point, what frustrates the bits out of me about this country now is that it's become so divided. You can have a different opinion, I can have a different opinion, and that's what debate is about. And we appreciate you coming on, my darling. Thank you very much indeed, and I mean that. Christine Jardine, Liberal Democrat MP. Baz in West Brom says, Jez, that's the problem with this country. You just interviewed the problem. The fact is, Rob's just said, no disrespect, he says to that lady, but oh dear, Christine, what waffle. Let them work is your answer, and that won't be an incentive. Give them nothing. That means they'll have no incentive in coming. 0344 499. I've lost the plot. 1000 if you want to call. Text to 87222. Morning, Tony.
Morning, Jeremy. It's Tony from Hampshire here. Jeremy, you've got a strong TV and journalistic background. Why can't the BBC Panorama, Channel 4 Dispatches, Sky News, whoever on the left-wing side of the media, why can't they do a bit of good old-fashioned journalism and go and expose the people that are setting up these gangs to send the migrants over here? Years ago, you'd have had people like Roger Cook who would have investigated this, exposed who they are, and did a bit of good old-fashioned journalism, as I say, got their noses to the ground and exposed the people behind all this. I mean, I think we know the answer, but wouldn't it be refreshing if one of these mainstream media outlets grew a pair and did a bit of good old-fashioned journalism? Thanks, Jeremy.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, that's woken you up. Christine Jardine from the Liberal Democrats. Oh, my God, says Nicola, I've just woken up and I'm already shouting at the bloody radio. Christine Jardine is making a sweeping statement by calling them all refugees. Tim, wife in Suffolk. What? This MP has no idea what we think. Why is my husband working 15 hours a day to pay for these bloody immigrants? Why will the left not accept there is an issue? Linda Whittingham, there is no work for the British kids leaving school. They will flood the workforce to make it even worse for the people in this country, says Linda Stalybridge. Pete, good morning.
Morning, Jez. Loving the show. Jez, I'm absolutely raging. 20,000 undocumented men into Spain, and they're going to make their way over here. We've seen these people. Veterans have seen these people in their countries, in their own countries, and how they treat people. And all we're going to do is welcome them and just let them do what they want. And then Andy Burnham comes out with they're going to charge people 10 quid for not voting. We don't know who's in country. How's he going to charge people 10 quid for not voting if they're not in country? I'm raging, absolutely raging. Veterans are sleeping on the street and we're handing 5-bedroom houses to immigrants. It's disgusting. It breaks me, Jez. 26 years in this man's army, I did. And it breaks me, it kills me.
I totally understand it. And, you know, I tried very hard with Christine Jardine to say, why do people like you on the left always start with the argument that there are people who are coming from war-torn countries? We proved with Ukraine, and we have proved again and again, that we are like-minded and caring as a nation. But the point is this, and if we don't have politicians who accept what I'm about to say, we are finished, in my humble opinion, although certain people will tell me I'm off my rocker. This country is creaking in terms of its public services, in terms of its belief in itself. People are really struggling to make ends meet. Labour is supposed to be the party of the working man and woman. If you cared or understood about the working man or woman, you'd have the balls to ask them what they think, and they would say, I'm sorry, but right now you need to be concerning us, not opening the doors to anybody under the premise that you believe they're all suffering inequality. You should actually be going, we need to look after Brits, not foreign aid, not this great belief that we should look good on the international stage. Spain, by the way, a left-wing government who's announced this amnesty which allowed 20,000, you've seen the footage, 20,000, look at it, I mean, it's appalling, migrants to flood the northern enclave of Ceuta. Thank you very much indeed. Has this morning responded by mobilising its army. Its stores and bars have closed as those 20,000 illegal migrants are running amok. 18 of the poor buggers died trying to get there. That is not responsible. People on the left will tell you, well, they're all looking for work. No, they're not. They're looking for a better life. Now, that's fine morally if you're there and you go, it's really important that we wipe the backside of the rest of the world. You need to think about your own people first because you're in danger of losing your own people. Let's speak to the global advisor on global affairs for Reform UK, Dr. Alan Mendoza. Good morning. Alan, I'm raging, man. I don't know, honestly.
I can hear, Jeremy.
Did you hear Christine Jardine?
Another planet. It's another planet. It's a planet that most normal people have no clue about, but she inhabits, and this is part of the problem, isn't it? We have it's what you said, it's a massive divide in British politics between people who obviously understand what you've been saying, which is that people are here trying to find a better life from abroad. That's why they're coming. Yes, there are some who are escaping from disastrous situations, but large numbers are coming because they see us as a soft touch, a better state of life for themselves. Perfectly rational decision for them. However, totally irrational decision for us to allow them to come here and stay.
I've always hoped and believed that we are a nation of carers, leaders, morally, not bankrupt, morally sort of willing and able to be on the cusp of doing the right thing. But the pure economics, Alan, is this. We can barely afford financially to actually do what's right by our own people. And, of course, the left jump up and down. They go, well, this is absolutely appalling. How can you say these things? Let's strip down what Christine Jardine said to you. She said the influx of all these people is because of Brexit and put it firmly at Nigel Farage's door. How did you respond to that?
I don't even know where to begin. It's such a daft statement, such a ridiculous statement. It's got nothing to do with Brexit, of course. It is down to factors from the third world, from people realizing the world is much easier to traverse than ever before. Knowledge about where the best places to go is freely available, as are the routes with the smuggling gangs. And people are prepared to say, right, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to come because I may lose my life along the way, but actually the odds are fairly small. And the odds of being accepted into that society are fairly large. So you know what? As a gamble, I'm on a winner here. So of course it's down to a combination of local conditions encouraging people to leave, and of course the conditions here not being sufficiently forceful in separating real asylum seekers from the vast majority of economic migrants.
And I think that's the point, isn't it? So I was trying to make to her, I don't know if you heard it, I said to her, look, why do people on the left always start each conversation with, there are many who are asylum seekers? Did you hear the Home Office data yesterday? The Home Office put out that they'd stopped 46,000 attempted crossings since the election and claimed they'd deported 70,000 people. The brilliant Centre for Migration Control jumped straight back and went, and this even left me this morning looking like I'd landed from Mars. 35% of the 70,000 that this government says they've deported, which is, by my maths, about 25,000 people, they didn't even know were here in the first place, didn't know their names, so they had no bloody idea they'd even gone.
I mean, yes, you've summed it up. I mean, it's totally out of control. The amazing thing is how this has sort of slipped off the political agenda again in the last few weeks. The new Prime Minister has said nothing about this issue. He seems to be talking about everything apart from illegal migration into this country.
Well, no, he did. He did his second interview yesterday, or answered his second question, and like the first time, he was in Barrow and Finesse. He said numbers are coming down. Now, I understand about different ideologies, but do you know what it is for me? Is that I want to say to any politician, Reform, Tory, Labour, Liberal Democrat, Green, I don't even want to include them, right, is irrespective of what you think and what I think, the British public are up to here. They don't understand. We have a word every day on this show, Alan. Unfairness. They cannot in their mind understand the two things about illegal migration. One, the unfairness in what these people are given, the fact that we roll out the red carpet to the detriment of the British people, and there is the security issue. Today, or yesterday, the ex-head of the National Crime Agency, you'd know this, said that small boats filled with young military-age men should scare the life out of the British public, Alan.
Well, of course it should. I mean, we have no clue who's coming here. It is young men. That's, again, the fascinating thing. There are pictures right now on your feed showing no women and children among the numbers of people coming. It's an extraordinary sort of situation to see that you have this flood of people coming in with no knowledge of who they are. We suspect, of course, that there are people like Iranian operatives. Nigel Farage has been quite clear that he believes that that's happening. And I think everyone is of the view that this is a likely occurrence because of the lack of control and knowledge about the people coming here. And, of course, the desire by some of these countries to slip in their people amidst, this mass of bodies coming over. So, yes, of course, it's a national security problem, and it's absolutely blasé of the Prime Minister to say, oh, numbers are coming down, and that's fine. The really interesting part is that, of course, we've seen in the last couple of days that one of the linchpins of this government and the previous government's policy, paying the French to stop the boats, has once again been shown to be probably the biggest waste of money of any government.
And I don't even know.
That's saying a lot,
I don't
Jeremy.
even
That's saying a lot.
understand how you look yourself in the mirror and say, what, I want a closer relationship with France. I'll give them 500 million when I could spend that on hospitals or education, when they are blatantly, we've shown the footage, just waving people through. This is interesting for you. Steve said about Christine Gianni, I'm not making sweeping statements, but she did blame reform and specifically Brexit. Rob says to say to you, in his mind, the European Union and its open border policy is absolutely responsible for this, not bloody Brexit. I would agree with that, wouldn't you?
Well, it's down to a failure of Europe to protect its borders.
Yeah.
And Europe has latterly woken up very late in the day to the idea that, oh, actually, hang on, this isn't a good idea. We must have some border control. By the way, in the Spanish case, it's fascinating that it's a Spanish judge who's gone well beyond what the Europeans have said in the European courts and has decided, oh, this is fine, which is just, actually it's karma given how crazy left-wing their government has been.
But you say fine, he says fine, and I'm on your side, and then you look at these pictures where the police are fighting these people coming in. There's batons out already. This morning, just now, I don't know if you heard her, Spain has mobilised its army because, the town is under threat. I mean, it's barking, man.
Of course it has, because suddenly the real world has collided with ideology, and guess what? The real world is a very different place. That's a reality of what's been going on with these migration decisions. It's all in a fantasy land that has no, sort of connectivity with what goes on in the real world.
I find myself, and it is important when I do this show that we have people from all walks of life and different political stances. But the point that I keep coming back to with Christine Jardine, and I've tried it with Labour MPs, they can't get beyond this view that we should be seen to be doing the right thing. And if you dare to say to them, right, what about the British people? You're accused of being, I don't even know the right word. Have a listen to this. This is a caller, Alan. James, good morning.
Morning, Jez. James from Gillingham again. Yet another politician there. We've got to smash the gangs. We've got to stop this awful control. It's always about the bad people of the gangs, and these people coming over are all holier than thou. If you're coming from a country where you've got no prospects of anything, let alone a job or a nice house, and you're going to have the opportunity to go to a country where they will provide for you like it's a 5-star service in your home country, better than some of the richest of the rich in your home country, of course they're going to come here. But this idea that, oh, they're all just being trafficked, they are the innocent, this is the thing that frustrates the ever-living hell out of me. The assumption is that the vast majority of the people coming over illegally into this country are generally good people. Sorry, no, that is the wrong assumption. And I am fed up to my eyeballs of listening to politician after politician on all sides bang on about how, oh, it's the gangs, we've got to stop the gangs, it's trafficking. They are choosing to come here. How much clearer does it need to be? There would be no business for the traffickers if people didn't want to be bloody trafficked. My word. Great as all normal, Jez, but you don't have to get my blood pressure pumping, mate. Bloody hell.
Try being me. Alan, what's your response to James? Because I feel he speaks for millions.
Well, of course he does, and that's the whole point. You listen to the frustration, listen to the incredible frustration about the obvious being turned into into something mystical by, Christine and people like her. That's the sad truth, and it really is, as you said earlier, the unfairness of it, the sense of living in a parallel universe where people don't understand the obvious reality of what's happening and are pretending it is something else. And that's why we have divides, because there are people on the left of politics, a large number, who simply refuse to acknowledge what everyone can see with their own eyes. And that is a huge problem, because when you have politicians who say things that are obviously disprovable by eyesight of people who can see what's happening, it's not some sort of secret thing happening elsewhere, it's right in front of their eyes. That's where you see a breach in trust of politics.
It's interesting. Somebody said Christine Jardine is the perfect example of a left-wing politician who knows she's actually talking rubbish, but her ideology won't allow her to say it.
Quite possibly, you'll have to get her back to put that point to her.
I will do. I'm happy to have her on, and I'm delighted. Alan, listen, thank you as ever. We continue the fight. We appreciate it so much indeed. Alan Mendoza, Reform UK's Global Affairs spokesman. Thank you very much indeed. Almost 8 o'clock. We're live across the UK. It's the only story in town. Those figures, those photos yesterday, footage from Morocco, 20,000 Moroccans entering by water the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Thank you very much indeed. Arriving by sea, you can't go back. This morning, the Spanish army, Spanish who said, come in, have mobilised the army. They're running amok. 752 migrants arriving in the UK yesterday. Biggest number of all. The French are waving them through despite 500 quid. Let me put this into perspective, OK? For the people on the left who think that I'm wrong. Zarina, good morning. Jeremy, your guest is suggesting that the illegals are invading our country since Brexit. This problem is at least 20 years old. The vast majority invading our country are not escaping persecution. I picked up my monthly salary last week Within 12 hours, Jez, the lot had gone on bills. The next month will be scraping by again using my credit card. And I work full-time. This merry-go-round has been happening for 20 years. I am barely bloody surviving, and yet I'm expected to constantly pay for others. Zarina says, I don't care what your politics, that is not fair. And you know what? That's why I do this show, because she is absolutely spot on. And John says, fleeing war and persecution in France? What a load of old rubbish. It's nearly 8 o'clock, talk breakfast. She says I look like Andy Burnham, so she's created a TikTok account. I'm Mandy Burnham. Who have you been told in the past you look like?
I think compared to me, those two are heavyweight champions. I wouldn't put myself in such a muscular context. But Charles Hawtrey, I think, was one of the funniest actors. I loved his appearances in the Carry On films.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial arena. Nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Speaking truth, that's the truth. Just gone 8 o'clock. We're live across the UK. Talk Breakfast is on till 10. 0344 499 1000. The number you need to make your call or make your voice note. 87222. Start your message with the word talk. It's all about migration. Those figures. I mean, there's images from yesterday. Kev O'Sullivan played them so brilliantly with Samara on Drive. 20,000 migrants swimming literally from Morocco to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Thank you very much indeed. After a court ruled that anyone arriving by sea could just arrive. For anybody from the Christine Jardine or Labour or Green camp who thinks that this is, you know, this is important because these people are, you know, escaping persecution, they need a better life. Spain, that's loony left anyway, has had to admit they've probably got it wrong, because within the last half an hour they've already mobilised the army. They've shut most of their shops and bars as 20,000 illegal migrants run amok around the enclave of Ceuta. It is by anybody's standards utterly shocking, and so many people, and I try really hard on this show to get all sides of the argument. But I have this... I listening to Christine Jardine, she's entitled to her opinion, though Jason in Keswick says that she's blown his mind and he's got to go and stand in the garden and scream for a while. The truth is, there is this ideology, isn't there, on the left, which says, we're not going to consider the implementing of what this will do to British people. We care, and we want to show that we care, which I understand. We did care with Ukraine. But what they will not have a debate upon is this. If you allow men... See, there are no children or women on that boat. Into your country that are unvetted, there are two things you're going to do. You are going to crush what little money you've got left to give to people who are suffering in this country, working people, by giving it to somebody else. You create a whole feeling of this is unfair, why would I live my life correctly and do everything possibly the right way when other people go in? And you're also, according to the National Crime Agency ex-head, putting the fear of God up people, because crimes happen as well. And how does the left answer that? They say to me, Jez, white men rape women as well. I honestly, at some points, I have to be really honest with you, right? I do try really hard. I do at some points think the world has gone mad, right? Christine Jardine will blame Brexit. Andy Burnham will say, let's smash the gangs. Keir Starmer or this, that. I'm not complimenting the Tories. When will politicians go, whether we like it or not, we are giving too much away to people who haven't paid into the system, and that is having a profoundly negative impact on the people of this country who pay their bloody taxes every day. Scott, good morning.
It's Scott here from Birmingham again. Great show. Just want to say one thing, mate, regarding the migrant crisis. If Andy Burnham and the rest of the country don't think for 1 second that all these Spaniards or whatever they are coming here, you are living in Joe Blogg's land. They are all en route to England, mate. And why? Because it's the land of honey and white women and children. Those be the facts. Scott, Birmingham.
Sorry, why would you leave a voice note with a dog barking that loud that I can't even hear what the hell's going on? At my moment of most anger, there's only one person who can calm me down, the voice of reason. He always gets me into trouble. The Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party... Party? What's party? Matthew Vickers, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. You're wired this morning. You're wired.
Mate, I'm really struggling. I need your help, right? Did you hear the Christine Jardine interview?
I haven't actually, but I don't think I want to hear it. I think what we've seen...
Brexit's to blame for illegal migration. Wait a minute. Brexit's to blame, and what you don't understand is that so many of these poor people are escaping persecution. And I'm not, Matty, against banging my head against a brick wall, but the footage we saw yesterday coming out of Morocco, and 752 migrants reaching our shores yesterday, and it will cost 30 million to keep them, those people. I am sick and tired of listening to bloody politicians tell me that we should care, or, you know, there isn't an issue, or British people aren't struggling. Your constituency up in Stockton, there are people working round the clock and paying their taxes who have had enough, I know this, you know that, of listening to platitudes. That what happens in Morocco, patently the Spanish have got that wrong. Within 24 hours, they've got the army on the street. Matty, words are no good anymore, mate. I've never known such anger, I have to tell you. Never.
You look at what's happening in Morocco, you look at the volume of people, the visual is terrifying, but actually that's just what's happening in this country. It's just that we're not seeing them all arrive on the same scale at the same pace. We have that number of people. Under Keir Starmer, more illegal migrants arrive in this country than ever before. But what has this Labour government done? What has it changed? Actually, it removed the deterrent. We said that if people come here, they should not be able to claim asylum. You should not be able to become a British citizen if you've entered the country illegally. That's the right way to go. The only way to stop this is to tell people they will not be allowed to stay. People around here pay more and more in tax. They pay more in tax than they've ever paid. Less police on the street, less teachers in the schools, less places in our prisons. Where is it all going? It's either going on welfare, or it's going this incredibly costly illegal immigration crisis. It's placing huge pressure on housing, placing huge pressure on our public services, on our public finances. Young people around here, grafting away, can't get their first house. They can't get that deposit together.
You sit on those green benches, right? Just help me out and help so many of my viewers and listeners. You sit on those green benches. I just had 5 minutes of it. When you look in the eyes of somebody who will not accept that Brits are struggling, will not deter from the view that these people are all escaping persecution, despite the fact they've had to have come over 7 countries where there's no wars, 7 countries where they're not with their wife and children because they've left them to be bombed. They don't care about them. When you point out to these people that these are men, when you point out, what did she say, Christine Jardine? What we give them is meagre. What a bloody insult to people who can't afford to even go out for a curry or a pint tonight when they're being given mobile phones, 50 quid a card, seeing a doctor. That's not meagre in the eyes of working Brits, Matty. When you look at those people, because this is the first time I've gone, I don't know why I'm doing this, because she's not listening. What do you think? Do you think you're deranged? You come from a different planet, I'll never get through to you? Or do you hope, like me, that one day there'll be this massive moment where all these people go, Christ, we were wrong, I'm really sorry, because the British people have got rid of us because they've realised we're complete idiots?
Well, I mean, you know, when they don't talk to real people, they don't go down there, knock on the doors of real people and hear about their struggles if they think that, you know, that we've got all this money to give away. But actually, is there anything humane or civilised about allowing people to travel? You would be picking people in greatest need. You wouldn't be picking the people who have the ability to travel through several safe countries, to pay people smugglers who all happen to be young men rather than, you know, completely disproportionately young men. Why would you be selecting those people? What's humane about that? About allowing people to put their lives at risk, crossing one of the busiest channels on the globe? What's humane and civilised about that? If you wanted to pick and support people, you need to stop this. You can't have uncontrolled migration. Actually, if we controlled the border, if anybody who broke in illegally got sent back, then perhaps you could look at the people in greatest need. This is not the way to operate it. It's crippling this country financially. It is unfair on anybody who works hard and pays their taxes.
Can I just point out that next to Matt and me, these are live pictures of the Tarajal border in Ceuta. Thank you, because I can't say it. Thousands of migrants just walking around, the streets littered, people just sitting on street corners. That's apparently... I mean, I struggle with this, Matty, because to me, there's common sense and there's not common sense. And I will keep saying what I'm saying, because it's not that I justify what I'm saying, but we did absolutely right by Homes for Ukraine. We have for years led the way in what I would call decent, right, proper behaviour. But the truth for all politicians is surely that we can't afford that right now, and yet I nearly said the wrong word, all this money on illegal migration, we send money to foreign aid, we spend money to allow people who are gaming the system to sit on benefits. And what really fears me, right, and I genuinely mean this, if you were my MP, I'd be saying this to you, what fears me is where this ends. I would never, have never, will never condone anybody that breaks the law. But you can see people getting so hacked off with this, mate. I really mean this, that they just find themselves not knowing what they're going to do. We've got Christine Jardine saying, and I'd love to put this to you, do you know what causes this? Brexit.
I mean, these people have spent the last 10 years complaining about Brexit. So, I mean, we've got Andy Burnham. He's arrived in office. He's had very, very little to say about immigration, one of the biggest problems facing this country. We've got a crisis in terms of our economy because all this government's done is take more in tax and spend more money. What has he come in and done? His one plan, well, he hasn't got a plan. His one proposal seems to be to spend more money without any idea of where he's going to get it from, which means more taxes, more spending, more borrowing, more damage to businesses that can't afford to pay all these taxes. They go to the wall. People end up without a job. 1 million young people in this country without education, employment or training. His priorities are completely wrong. He's not talking about immigration, not talking about how we get those young people.
Did you see him yesterday? He went to Barrow in Furness. I've been there. It was closed. This is the second time in 10 days our Prime Minister was questioned, and I should play it because people tune in and out the whole time. It's rolling news. This was when Andy Burnham was asked, right, Matty, if there's a problem with illegal migration and how his government are dealing with it. Have a watch.
When it comes to the wider issues around the Channel and immigration, obviously there are crossings this week, but overall, if you look at the picture in 2026 compared to last year, 2025, there is significant progress in terms of reducing the number of crossings, the number of people coming over. But there is much further to be done to get the grip on the issue that we require. The Home Secretary is applying that grip, and I'm grateful to her, but more is needed to get those numbers right down. The removals are up too, though, and this is another part of the story that people need to understand. You know, there is progress being made on all fronts, but more is needed.
So, on the basis of that, Matt, the Home Office had put out a tweet yesterday morning, don't know if you saw it. We are aware of posts circulating online that claim French law enforcement are failing to prevent small boat crossing. Now I'm going to say brilliant piece of work by Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, was on my show. There were migrants hiding in bushes and the gendarmes were going, oh, just go this way, not a problem, I'm on my galloise, nothing is a problem. They put, the Home Office, UK-French cooperation has already stopped over 46,000 attempted crossings since the election. But the wonderful Centre for Migration Control tweeted straight back and put, and this is what I want people to know, and I'd love your response. The Home Office claims it's removed or deported 70,000 people. Here are the facts. 35% of that number, that's 25,000 nearly, officials didn't even know they were here in the first place, had no data on them, and didn't even realise they'd gone. And 26%, Matt Vickers, were paid to leave. And you wonder why the British people are just at the end of their tether. That's spin, that's not control.
Infuriating. It's literally polishing. It's all waffle. They're finding stats that they're pulling out of the backside. 752 people arrived in this country yesterday. Who is going to pay for that? We know that under Starmer, record level, more than under any previous Prime Minister arrived under Starmer, 94% of them got to stay in the country. That is a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. There is no way that is sustainable. There is no way we can go on like that. You have to get to the point where people getting in those boats know they will not be able to stay in the country. Until that happens, we're not going to fix this problem. It's common sense. The people at home know that anyone breaking into this country needs to be sent packing. Otherwise,
Tim's a veteran. He says, can you please ask Matt Vickers if the Tories were in power? I asked this of Christine Jardine, rather. Would the Tory government declare this as a national emergency, Matt Vickers?
We would declare it as national. We know this is a huge, huge problem. We have a real plan we've got a plan. On day one, we would start bringing that plan through. We will leave the ECHR. We will set a cap on the number of legal migrants that can come to this country, and we will set up a task force responsible. We will invest in a team of people to go find those illegal migrants and remove them from this country. That is the only way you're going to stop that. If people think they can break into this country and benefit from it, they will keep breaking in. If you break into this country, you should be detained and deported. No ifs, no buts.
I've got something for you. I haven't got anybody on reform on the show this hour, so I'm going to give this to you from my mate Rob in Newcastle, because I think he's spot on. Can we please get back on the last act that David Lammy brought through before he was fired? Let's force the truth. Do you remember he tried to suppress the crime figures for crimes committed by people who shouldn't be in this country? These figures and that story has disappeared. I think Robbie is exactly right. That is part of government policy, to not let it be told to the British people how many of these, in the left idea, persecuted people are not persecuted. They're economic migrants who actually are coming over here, Matt Vickers, and committing huge amounts of crime. Would the Tory party publish? That has to be published, that figure, doesn't it?
Well, you look at this, where we have got those figures, where we have got the number of people who are in prison serving some of this stuff, we can tell the disproportionate number of people from certain nationalities who are committing crimes in this country. There was a debate in Westminster Hall, actually, not long before the summer. We debated this at length. The government seemed to not agree. They were going to publish material on this. We had a hell of a lengthy debate. A lot of the Labour MPs, apart from the ones who cast you as, you know, being racist and evil and having terrible motivations, most of them actually were agreeing to this and could not defend a position. Yet here we are. They say one thing, act with another intention.
Just one thing before you go, because it has been all about that. Couple of quick things. Burnham admits oil drilling can ease the cost of living. He's going to pull the wind out of yours and Reform's sails, isn't it, if he suddenly starts opening up the North Sea? Because we've been shouting at him to do this for months.
He's fluttered his eyelashes a little bit more, hasn't he? No, I think what we're going to hear is that Jackdaw and Rosebank are going to be signed off. If not, if he actually allows us to have licences, if he allows new licences to go forward, we would very much welcome it. In fact, we've got a few plans we'd like him to take. We'd like him to take our borders plan.
Well, can I go back to that? Because Rosedaw, and he, I don't know whether he's clever, but I was reading about this. The manifesto says, you know, that they won't grant any new licences, but old net zero madman Miliband had actually closed Jackdaw and Rosedale, the two that were making lots of exploration and lots of money. Burnham, I suspect, is that sort of politician that will reopen Rosedale and whatever the other one's called, and then say, that's within the confines of the manifesto because I'm not opening up anyone, and hope that Trump and everybody goes, well done, you're drilling again. The frightening thing is, though, despite that, the Telegraph reports this morning that Labour's £18 billion council tax raid is very real. And some people, Matty, to fund so much of what this man wants to do, could face a £500 rise a year by 2030 under the Burnham premium, which would hit 25 million homes. What's the Tory response to that, pal?
If all we see is £500 increase in the tax that people across this country are going to pay, it'd probably be quite positive, looking at the way he's burning through suggestions with cash. Actually, you remember Starmer told us not a penny more on our council tax. Council tax is surging now. There is talks about trying to remove some of the caps and the referendum caps on council tax. One thing we can expect from this Burnham government is more spending, more borrowing, more in taxes. Taxes are already at a record level. Families are already struggling to pay them. Businesses are going to the wall because they cannot pay the hikes in business rates, the hikes in national insurance. It's a disaster. Government needs to get off businesses back. Let businesses get on with creating jobs and supporting people. When people are at work, they can't pay for public services. It's a disaster.
Mate, it's great to have you on. I know you're sad. I'm not here next week.
Oh, I'm not down there either. I'm up here having a great time.
Are you having a great time? Are you allowed to have that Union Jack? Is that your house or your office?
This is the house. The flag's now in the house. I'm now at home for a few weeks. Where are you off to? Am I good?
I don't want to be disrespectful because you're the deputy chairman of the Tory party and we don't want to get into trouble, but you're still dating, aren't you?
Oh, well, all the time.
What happens when a date comes back and sees a Union Jack? What do they assume? Because presumably on whatever website you're using, you don't say Member of Parliament. Do they think you're some sort of weirdo in his house in Stockton's got a Union Jack? What's the response?
You know what? You can go on all these dating apps and, you might get a few responses, but whenever you bring this up on this show, I tend to get some very naughty things in my, what do you call it?
Well, I don't mind. I don't mind because I believe that this show has to be honest, and we have done some serious stuff this morning. But in showing you the Daily Telegraph headline, and I can read this, can't I, Christian, because it's on the front page of the Daily Telegraph. We've got Labour's £18 billion council tax bill, and then just above, this is true, not just any knickers, M&S crotchless ones, whatever next. There it is. Front page of the Telegraph. I didn't make it up. That's what I'm having to deal with, Matt Vickers. Anyway, listen, dear boy, have a good week.
You're dealing with all the big issues of the day.
Absolutely. Big issues with Jeremy Kyle, including M&S knickers. Matt Vickers, you're a legend. Thank you very much indeed. 8:22, it's Monday. No, it's not. It's Friday. It feels like Monday. Sorry. Did you hear that voice note with the dog? This is brilliant. Claire near the Cotswolds. I don't know how you could be near the Cotswolds. That's like saying we're near Manchester. Well, nearer than Andy, wouldn't I? Jess, listen to the show. My dog has just pulled the curtain back as he can hear a dog barking. He's highly intelligent, my dog, but even he can't understand. It's just a voice note on your show because he started barking in my house. 0344 499 1000. Andy, good morning.
Morning, Jez. Glennie Colchester. A couple of things. Number one, Georgia Maloney's got it right. There needs an emergency legislation. Get Schengen closed down. Get that border from Spain outwards closed, locked down. We do not need any of these people escaping into Europe. She has got it spot on. And ask these people how much is enough. How many is enough? How many people need to come to this country? When do we turn the tap off? 100,000? 1 million? 10 million? When is enough enough?
They are launching a legal bid to stop crime statistics linked to nationality from being released. And the Ministry of Justice are so desperate to make sure that we do not know the truth about just how bad it is when it comes to migrant crime, that they have decided, even though they didn't have money to do the FOI request, that they have got money to launch a legal bid.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just gone 25 past 8. You would talk breakfast, the home of common sense and the home of you, the alarm clock Brits. It's all about migration. 752 migrants reaching the UK yesterday and the biggest day of channel crossings this year. The human side, 4 dying. This awful situation that doesn't seem to get any better, exacerbated by those appalling images yesterday as 20,000 migrants swam from Morocco into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta after a court ruled that anyone arriving by sea could not be forced back. This morning, because it's carnage, the Spanish left-wing government, who seem to think it's fine, everything's good, have mobilised the army. Had a great voice note, but the quality wasn't good enough. Christine Jardine was on from the Liberal Democrats, very much entitled to her opinion. She says that a large number of these people are persecuted. Not sure that's right, could be missing the point myself. I think it's about how much we give them. She also blamed Brexit fully and squarely, which is quite ironic, isn't it? Because there's pictures of 20,000 people coming from Morocco to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. And I thought that Spain was still inside the EU. Yeah, no, this has been going on for years, and until we toughen up, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Ray is in Huntingdon. Morning, Jess. Just looked at these small boat crossings per year. Can't believe that back in 2018, only 300 came over in the whole year. Jez are in the 90s, says Bruce. I used to drive a truck to and from the UK to Morocco. Top of France at the bottom of Spain took less than a couple of days. So get the welcome mat out. I think they'll all be here from Monday. 0344 499 1000. Let's go to... Is it Westminster? Are we going to the... No, is it... He's at home. A man who I once mistook on a tube train, which was hugely embarrassing. The Shadow Business and Trade Secretary, Andrew Griffith. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hi, Jeremy. Very good, thank you. From here from West Sussex.
Good man. We have a mutual friend. It's a lovely part of the country. Andrew, I'm going to try and keep off migration till the end with you, because there's every chance that I could actually combust live on air.
You and me both. 750 crossing yesterday.
All right, we're not going to keep off it. We're going straight to it. Okay. When you saw those pictures in Morocco, right, the 20,000 swimming, and the Spanish, who, you know, the left-wing government, open the borders, you poor people. This morning they've had to mobilise the army. I just want to put it specifically to you, Andrew. 752 migrants coming to this country yesterday, platitude after platitude from parties of all walks of life, and we know that you had 14 years. You guys have apologised for that. They had Rwanda, it wasn't implemented quick enough, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that politicians in their entirety, or just some, understand the sheer depth of the anger amongst working Brits? Because I have Christine Jardine on, she tells me most of them are suffering persecution, and I try really hard to say, no, they're not. But I want to focus on hard-working Brits who are really struggling and who don't give a damn about ideology. They just don't think that the country's very fair, Andrew.
Well, spot on. I mean, this is a great nation. We have always been tolerant to people who have been genuinely persecuted. I would defend every day the generosity of the British people under the Homes for Ukraine scheme, when they were genuine refugees, women and children, fleeing from the barbarity of Putin's aggression. But no, look, I'm completely with you. I mean, the whole political class haven't got this. It's why I'm a big fan of our leader, Kemi Badenoch. We have a plan. She is willing, when many politicians were not, to tell it as it is, to make the tough decisions. There's a team now with a proper plan, and nobody will be standing as a Conservative candidate at the next election. If you vote Conservative, you can know that on the ballot paper, that Conservative candidate has signed up to our borders plan, to remove the incentives that will continue to see the flow of people here until that is addressed, and to restore the primacy of the UK legal system by leaving the ECHR. It's not just the ECHR. A lot of it is the interpretation by the Home Office and the British legal system. That will be restored to Parliament. That is a clear plan. You can find that plan on our website. We've got the absolute steely determination to solve this, and it is deeply regrettable that this scenario has gone on for far too long.
When you say deeply, Andrew, when
gangs, they don't look very smashed, do they?
No. And listen, you know, we know each other. This show has always been, and will continue to be while I'm doing it, to try and give all sides. But the problem, and I've said it before to you, and you're always straight with me as I am with you, I think Kemi Badenoch is cutting through. But the problem is, to many still, they will say, you had 14 years to cure this. This is the issue that you and your party have got, and I play it for a reason. Have a listen to John, Andrew Griffith.
Jeremy, John from the Dordogne, why are you talking to this Tory? He's responsible for all this. We were telling them 30 years ago to stop immigration. The Tories I'm talking about, we were telling them 30 years ago to stop it. and they didn't. And they made it even worse.
You have absolutely the right to answer that, Andrew, and I know you'd want to.
Yeah, look, we stopped the flow of people through, I don't know, I mean, when I say we, I mean the process stopped the flow of people through the Channel Tunnel, right? Remember all of those lorries, remember people clinging on the underside of trains, that was stopped.
Completely?
It's just, no, listen, it's just, it is a more nuanced story, right? This did not happen. This wave of people crossing in small boats happened for the first time post-COVID, first time at scale. So it is a new way in which it's happened. Yeah, it took far too long, but it wasn't. It's just silly to try and say, 14 years. It wasn't a 14-year government. It was a series of different governments. But secondly, it was Labour lords, lefty bishops, and the British judicial system. Right. And so with all of those forces arraigned against doing the things that needed to be done, membership of the ECHR, it was the Conservative government that took us out of the European Political Union, which was one impediment to this. But of course, at the same time, many of the same people came up with doctrines and ideas through the legal system. So I don't want to spend the morning spoiling your viewers' breakfast.
No. And Andrew, it's really important that I make this point. There comes a point, right? We can talk about the Boris wave, we can talk about judges, we can talk about the Channel Tunnel, we can talk about the ECHR and the fact that Farage has been saying that for 20 years, but I'm talking now. And I find it, and to me, it's the crux of the issue, right? The Tory party do have a new model. They do have new people. My point for playing that was almost window dressing more than anything. It must be frustrating. Do you feel you're getting there? Do you feel like people like John, who patently, I suspect, would have voted Tory and got very frustrated? Is it frustrating when you feel the messaging is right and yet for many there is still not that forgiveness that Reform have jumped upon? Let's be perfectly honest. I've told you personally the story during the last election, interviewing a Tory candidate and a Reform candidate. And the Reform guy was talking about borders and he was talking about army and he was talking about police and men. And I opened my mouth to speak, and I won't name him because he hasn't got his seat anymore. And the Tory MP said, that's far right. And I just looked at him and went, you've lost my vote. And this isn't to promote reform. I'm saying this to you. I feel that the Tories are starting to get a lot right, but you're still suffering from the mistakes you made. Is that frustrating?
Look, trust has, yeah, of course it's frustrating, right? Yeah. Trust has, but I understand it as well. Trust has to be earned, right? We are a new set of people with a new leader who's got some proper balls, who's willing to tackle these tough issues and tell the truth, not just on this, but on public spending, on calling out the government, on woke, on all the gender stuff. Yeah. We have a leader, I think the only leader in British politics who's actually telling it straight exactly as it is on every single issue. But I get that takes time, right? People do change. Mrs. Thatcher came after Edward Heath. Yeah, that's a long time ago, but your reader wanted to go back, your viewer wanted to go back.
I remember it. It's not that long ago. Huh.
Yeah, so people do change. And all I would say, right, there's no election today. All I would say is keep an open mind. If you are serious about closing our borders, if you are serious about a government that's going to get this country growing again, where we can have pride in our history, just keep an open mind. It's a democracy. You have a choice.
And I think that is absolutely the answer. I think you're right, because you have to acknowledge it, but you have to also draw a line in the sand. As the shadow trade in a business section, just very quickly, I got slaughtered I got criticised massively by a certain left-wing journalist this week who said that I should be sitting here saying, let's give Andy Burnham a chance. It's great he's giving out sweets and talking about the things that matter. And I said, yes, it is that. But my job is to absolutely hold him to account as to how he's going to pay for it. This morning, front page of the Telegraph, Andrew, Labour's £18 billion council tax raid. I suspect we're going to read more and more about this, because the truth is with Burnham, is it not? As with all Labour politicians, you promise and you promise, and you either raise taxes or borrow the money from the IMF. Isn't that the truth?
It is absolutely the truth. I mean, there's every single day there's another unfunded commitment. The one thing that we all know is that it is ordinary British hard-working households who will end up paying the price. That piece in the Telegraph was a piece of a Conservative doing the work in Parliament, discovering the government's own secret plans to increase council tax by £500 a year by 2030. That was before Andy Burnham starts raiding people's piggy banks and redistributing money. And the lie is being given by the fact he says you can spend more, you can get money if you're a local authority, you can spend more, but you can't give that money back to ordinary hard-working ratepayers. That's not devolution. That's just another name for a high-spending Labour government telling you what to do.
Andrew, as ever, my friend, great to have you on. Appreciate all sides of the argument. Andrew Griffiths, thank you for joining us on Talk. The Shadow Business and Trade Secretary, Sarah in Suffolk. Listen, this show's about balance. I don't know what this Tory is, who it is, but they persecuted Farage for years for saying this about our country being invaded. I voted for the Tories forever, but I will never vote for these hypocrites again. It doesn't matter what they say. Barry in Sunnyside says the Tories did not take us out of the EU. Stop lying. They messed it up. We understand. And this is the point of it. This is the point of the show, right? Everybody has different opinions, and we have to hold everybody to task. But mostly importantly, it's what you think of it all. 0344 499 1000. Is there a voice note? Am I going with a voice note, or am I just going to the break? Not right now, says the boss. He's got his headset on and his couscous in his mouth from his wife. We're back in 3.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
And the main man, not only here this afternoon, but sitting in for me next week on breakfast, and he'll do a fantastic job. The housewives' choice. In fact, Mrs. Carl isn't coming away on holiday with me and the kids. She's going to stay at home and listen to Ian Collins. 20 to 9, we're live across the UK. 0344 499 1000. Now, for people who think that we've made too much about this migrant situation, sorry, I don't think so. You might have seen Kev O'Sullivan brilliantly, by the way, breaking that news story yesterday that 20,000 migrants swam from Morocco into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta after a court ruled that anybody arriving by sea could not be forced back. We've been reporting this. We reported an hour ago that despite the left-wing Spanish government thinking that's a good idea, that they'd suddenly realised it might not be such a good idea because they'd had to mobilise the army this morning in Ceuta as stores and bars closed as thousands. Well, I've got some breaking news for you, and this is utterly, utterly depressing. Try changing that figure, and this was on the mainstream media and has disappeared straight away. 49,000 people, migrants, crossed from Morocco to Ceuta. 49,000. If that isn't frightening, if that isn't a warning, if that isn't... I mean, honestly, if you'd listened in the last hour, and I do really try, we had Christine Jardine from the Liberal Democrats say that the majority of these people are fleeing persecution. That ideology that we should care, yeah, we should, and we did. We certainly did when it came to Ukraine. But these people are not women or children, they're young men. We know nothing about them. And the next fear is, and people won't like what I'm about to say, 49,000 yesterday, Morocco to Spain. Where are they ultimately going to end up? Name me, this isn't difficult, Sam, even you'll get this, and you failed all your exams. What country offers more than everybody else? Put your hand up, Sam, what's the answer? Oh, Great Britain. He's pointing at his own head, absolutely. It is absolutely, to me, beyond comprehension, 49,000 migrants. Let's say good morning to a man who is central to what I believe is one of the most honest and best things we've got. The Centre for Migration's Research Director, Robert Bates. Good morning, Robert.
Morning, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Always. Before you start, I didn't mean that as it sounded, I want to salute, and I've been reading this out for 2 days. We played some footage which sort of started with the shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp on the beaches of France a couple of mornings ago, and the gendarmes were just there with their Gaulois just going, oh, come through, it's not a problem. And we're all going, hold on a minute, we're paying you £500 million. And so various outlets online were saying this is unacceptable. The Home Office thought it a good idea yesterday morning to tweet, we are aware of posts circulating online that claim that French law enforcement are failing to prevent boat channel crossings. The UK-French cooperation, we should tell you, has already stopped over 46,000 attempted crossings since the election. Your organisation, the Centre for Migration Control, ripped straight back, and thank God you did. The Home Office claims it has removed or deported 70,000 people. Here are the facts, said the Centre for Migration Control. Honestly, I try and keep my voice low. 35% of that 70,000, Robert, the officials didn't even know they were there, what their names were, or they bloody well left anyway. And 26% we paid to leave. When you look at that, when you look at those figures, and then you look at what happened yesterday, and by the way, more breaking news, a Spanish Interior Ministry spokesman confirmed that the number had risen. 49,000 migrants crossing last night from Morocco to that Spanish enclave in the last 24 hours. When you look at that, are you as fearful as me, my friend?
I'm terrified. I think the scenes that we saw in Morocco were something out of a horror movie, and really actually the result of a very liberal prime minister who doesn't care one jot about his own country's interests and actually is more concerned with adhering to abstract notions of human rights. But let's not pretend that this is just a problem that Spain have. But of course, many of these individuals will be approaching the northern coast of France with the intent of coming to Britain. And when we consider that our own Prime Minister, and I don't think this is being talked about anywhere near enough, our own Prime Minister has made it very clear previously that he wants channel migrants to have the right to work immediately. So that is a huge pull factor. He wants newcomers to have access to welfare and social housing as soon as they get it. You realise that Britain actually is going way, way, way beyond anything else that is being offered in Europe. And many of these individuals will no doubt have the intent of coming to our country. And then when you realise, actually, as you say with that tweet, that the Home Office is actively lying to us to present a case of control and that they're clamping down on the crisis. We're nowhere near levels of deportation that we even were 10 or 15 years ago. And actually, a lot of the numbers that the Home Office are bragging about are gerrymandering and fiddling with the figures. This is unfortunately a situation where the Labour government are using spin and sophistry to mask actually the huge crisis that is bubbling along. And I'm very, very fearful that their plans to increase deportations by just 4,500 a year don't even touch the size. That will barely even cover those that are coming across the channel, let alone visa overstayers, and let alone the million-plus illegal migrants that are already in the country, plus the tens of thousands of foreign national offenders as well. So they're doing nowhere near enough.
My point is, and you're at the coalface every day, I don't understand. I mean, I had Christine Jardine on from the Liberal Democrats. It's important I try and get every view. She said, and I quote, two things. She said, I suspect the majority of the 752 yesterday, or a number of the 752, are escaping persecution. So my mouth drops and I think, what, persecution in France? And the other 6 war-torn countries behind. No, that can't be right. But she says to me, no, Jeremy, you're missing the point. The reason that these problems have surfaced is absolutely down to Brexit. And then I look, right, at the Spanish situation. 49,000 from from Morocco to that Spanish enclave yesterday, 49,000. And I think, how is it Brexit when Spain's still in the European Union still? I genuinely struggle to understand what some people refuse to see. Why can't politicians, certain politicians, maybe on the left, why can't they get out of their heads that under their quest to look good, Robert, their own people feel crushed and treated unfairly and are becoming mutinous? And I don't mean that in a bad way. And the rest of the world isn't clapping us on the back. The rest of the world is going, well, you're a bit stupid, aren't you? Because you're basically screwing your own country and screwing your own people under this guise to try and look good. I don't understand why politicians cannot, will not, or utterly don't have the intelligence to see that, mate.
there are tens of millions of Brits that are absolutely aghast at what is happening with our borders, but there is a select few of a few thousand officials in Whitehall and politicians that are hell-bent on taking us down a path that has no democratic mandate and will actually, if it carries on at the pace that it is, and if it increases, which I suspect it will under Burnham, will lead to the decay and the collapse, really, of a well-functioning society. I think we're already seeing signs of that. And when it comes to this argument of Brexit, I mean, the Lib Dems are obsessed with this idea. Actually, if we were still in the EU, we would now be signed up to the new EU asylum pact, which would see many of these individuals that have just crossed into Spain are going to make those asylum claims being shoved over here under the burden sharing program of that program. So I think the crisis is being used by each individual left-wing group to advance their own pet causes, but nowhere is the national interest being put front and centre as to how we address this. And that is, as has been said almost sort of repeatedly by those of us that can see what needs to be done, is you have to leave the human rights framework, you have to leave the Refugee Convention, you have to have a policy of detention and deportation of anyone that doesn't have a right to be here. You either send them back to their country of origin, as Germany is now doing with Afghanistan as well.
Absolutely.
We're return individuals to Afghanistan. Return them to their country of origin, or if it really is impossible, to a third country such as Rwanda. And none of that is on the table under this Labour government. And actually all they're doing is talking about opening more legal routes.
And you know, I agree. I mean, I literally would like to be the PR. I think your organisation is utterly fantastic, and I've said it again and again, but I would add to that caveat, and people don't like this, and I'd love your take on this. All I ever hear about is, you know, when they come here, we've got to deport them, we've got to put them in a detention centre. I wouldn't allow them to set foot in this country. I don't care whether people on the left think that this is the wrong thing to say. I'd put the Navy in the Channel. I wouldn't let anybody land. And I've said it before, I'd either recondition a massive great liner with a crack force of border officials who decide and work out within 24 hours whether people had the paperwork or the right to be here, but they wouldn't be going in a boat, would they? And if they don't, they're taken to detention centre. This whole... I nearly said the wrong word, of once you're in Britain, we're going to have to wipe your backside. Well, don't let them in Britain then. I honestly want to say to people like Christine, and I understand she's probably a far nicer person than me, but what I want to say to her is, do you understand when the Labour Party, when the Liberal Democrats, when the Greens go on and on about the rights of migrants, and I don't want anybody to be... I don't want anybody to be in a war-torn zone, but they're not in a war-torn zone in France. I want to take them to, I don't know, Bury or Redruth or, I don't know, somewhere in Scotland or Northern Ireland and say, you know, this family here, you know, he lost his job or she lost her job. You know, actually, they're barely able to pay their bills and feed their kids. They haven't been out for a meal or away on a holiday in 5 years, and you're giving all this stuff that their tax is paying for to somebody else. Do you understand, if you can get your ideology out of your thick skull, that these people don't think it's fair, and in the end, these people are going to get rid of you because they just don't understand how unfair the balance is? And Nigel Farage has been saying this for 20 years, and look at the crap that's been thrown his way. And it makes you wonder, but it doesn't mean that anybody from your organisation or here can give up saying these things, because it's the truth.
I think they have to be repeated because, of course, for every time these very clear points are mentioned, you do have from individuals on the left and those that are obsessed with this project of open borders, the counter-narrative of this idea of human rights. Well, I'm sorry, where were the human rights being considered in the instance of Rhiannon White or Wayne Broadhurst, or the fact that actually we've got the UK's terror watchdog saying it's a national security crisis? We've got the UK's head immigration advisor saying that actually those nationalities that are more likely to come over the boats disproportionately commit sex crimes against British women and girls. Where are the human rights of Brits? It seems that the universality of human rights ends at the Channel and doesn't apply to the people of this country. And I think that is actually a very warped situation and a very dangerous situation we are now in, where we have a political class that seem to be doing anything they can to put others ahead of the people they're actually elected to represent. And I think, you know, we have got, as you say, Nigel Farage has been very, very clear on this point. He was talking about the threat of maybe Iranian terrorists coming across the Channel months ago and was chastised for it. Well, now we found out that's happening as well. I really don't know actually what more mechanisms there are to make these people listen to us, apart from a general election that Andy Burnham seems to be running away from.
It's interesting you say mechanisms. I've always, even in my hardest moments, I've always had a great belief in the British public. And at some point, politicians like Farage, organisations like yours, radio stations and television networks like ours are going to be looked upon as not something you can laugh at, but something that actually was brave enough to say the truth. Because I've a great faith in the fact that common sense amongst the British electorate is rife, and I don't think the politicians give it due notice. And yeah, mate, listen, at the end of the day, for me, it's utterly frightening, and it's all that people want to talk about. And when you see those pictures, think about, like, those 49,000 people that have crossed. 18 died. Let's look at the human issue here. 18 people died trying to get somewhere that, what, they've been promised was a utopia. I don't think you need to be promised that Britain's a utopia, by the way. I think anybody with a brain cell across the world probably sees us as a soft touch. Let's get there. Because rest assured, with these 49,000 people that went from Morocco to that Spanish enclave last night, you think they're not going to try and get here? Because we'll certainly treat them better than the Spanish will. They've already got the army out. And that leaves me cold. It's not about, you know, people will always say, isn't it, about immigration, oh, you're being utterly racist. No, I'm not. I'm actually being honest about the impact it's having on British people. Taxpayers, people who have put their lot in and are getting very little back.
Well, I am confident that actually now most Brits are attuned to the existential nature of this threat. You know, the saying, an Englishman's mind works best when it's almost too late. Well, I think actually now the electorate are well and truly switched on as to what needs to happen. I think there's unanimity almost about the need to deport illegal migrants, the need to actually, if need be, as you say, put the Navy in the Channel to turn back these boats and to do whatever is necessary to advance the national interests rather than human rights. I think actually, you know, when you look at these scenes in Spain, this really should be a wake-up call to all of Europe, but in particular to Britain, that we cannot afford to continue sort of as a siren's call to individuals as to how welcome they will be in the country. Because, of course, we've had deaths of individuals trying to get to the Channel as well. They mostly were women, and we're told they were heart attacks. I do wonder whether that is the full picture. And when you consider that actually most of the men, and you look at the footage that's broadcast previously, most of the men on the boarding these boats are sort of pushing women and children out of the way. That is why actually a large part of the percentage of those coming across on the boats are young men, is because actually they've got the aggression to push individuals out of the way and trample if need be. And we do see human tragedy involved in this as well, but you never hear that from those on the left. They're only prepared to talk about actually the need to throw open our borders even further.
Mate, listen, your organisation I bow down to. I think you're fantastic. The Centre for Migration Control's Research Director, thank you, Robert Bates. What is it, 8 minutes to 9 o'clock. The fight continues. Let's say good morning to Malcolm in Devon.
Morning, Jezza. Malcolm back down in Devon again. I left the smoke. That was great. Very painful mine coming round Heathrow on the 25. Seemed to sort of sit there for a while. Then did the same back down on the M5 with all the grockles just sort of parked up and thought, oh, why not? I'll just sort of sit here for a few hours. It'd be lovely, wouldn't it? But while I was away, we had major issues in the village. Daisy the cow got out and she was wandering around, and we got a picture of Daisy the cow on Facebook outside my house chewing on the bloody daffodils. So there you go. It's exciting down here in Devon. All the stuff is going on. So while the migrants are coming in and invading our country, and Captain Burnham is talking about bloody snacks in the pub, plonker, we've got Daisy the cow getting loose in the village.
The reason I played that, I love, because my parents lived in Somerset before they died, and my mother rang me one day and she went, we've got, I'll never forget the word stramash, Christian. She went, we've had a right stramash in the village. I said, what's happened? She said, 3 people in a 3-week period have had their lawnmowers nicked. The CID are on their way. There's something to be said for living some part of this Britain where you can actually believe that nothing's happening. But listen, I live down on the coast. I went 20 miles to Bournemouth the other Saturday. Jesus, you wouldn't believe it. Can you push the button, Sammy?
90 minutes in 90 seconds. From The Sun.
A very good morning to Martin Blackburn, football writer for the Brilliant Sun. How are you, Martin?
Morning, Jeremy. Very well, thank you. You OK?
Yeah, now, the big news yesterday, and I'm a massive fan because I've got mates up there, and I know what Shearer thinks because I got the message last night. Eddie Howe leaving Newcastle after 5 years, wants to take a break. Many people, quite rightly, will spend a long time saying he was incredible. He brought them their first silverware. He got them to the Champions League twice. But the passion and the verve and the you know, the way that they ran, it seems to have dissipated over the last few weeks and months. Certainly Anthony Gordon going, Sandro Tonali going. We think Bruno Guimaraes will go next. Probably the right thing. But in all of it, I don't think we should forget what a bloody fantastic job Eddie Howe did at Newcastle.
Exactly, Jeremy. Yeah, I mean, you know, we all remember those scenes when he ended that, was it 70-year wait for silverware back in February of last year, the sort of party that they had around Newcastle. They'll remember that for a long time. You do. I mean, a few months after that, they qualified for the Champions League. Since then, it's been difficult for them, Jeremy. And you do wonder whether the sort of cycle had come to a bit of an end for Eddie Howe. But he will be remembered, up there with Kevin Keegan and Bobby Robson, the great managers that Newcastle have had. It's the big surprise really is the timing, I think, Jeremy.
I think many of my mates, Robbie and out there, they were all saying, maybe it should have been at the back end of last season.
Yeah.
Apparently he wanted to go, your paper saying 2 weeks ago, but respected the club and waited till this new boss was sorted. Let me do say one thing. You're a football aficionado. He will have absolutely no problems getting a job when he wants it, won't he?
Eddie Howe, I mean, he's. I mean, I think a lot of people would like to see him as the England manager one day, wouldn't they, Jeremy? Those who would like to see an Englishman in charge of England will say that he is the obvious candidate. I think he will take a break now, and then he'll be in demand because he did great work at Bournemouth before he went to Newcastle. 5 years at Newcastle, picking them up after a difficult time under Steve Bruce, taking them to Champions League twice. Great CV he's got, Jeremy, so, he won't be short of offers.
Do you think the FA, in between not wanting to go to the World Cup because that madman Infantino, do you think they've got the balls to get rid of Tuchel and give Eddie Howe the job?
Well, I mean, the pressure's going to be on Thomas Tuchel because of the sort of disappointing way that they went out. You can say they finished third, but people were disappointed, weren't they, about the way they went out to Argentina. And, there's lots of people who would like to see an Englishman in charge, Jeremy. That's just the way it is. And he is the outstanding candidate. And the FA, will be aware that he's out there now. So, I mean, in the autumn internationals, if they don't go to plan, then Eddie Howe was on the other end of the phone.
Good man, Martin, great, and thank you to you and your colleagues. Fantastic work. News of a big Spurs transfer bomber happening, courtesy of Roberto De Zerbi. But all you need to know every single day in the brilliant Sun Sport, live and exclusive, we are for another hour. We'll start the next hour with Reform's London mayoral candidate, Layla Cunningham, next on Talk Breakfast.
Jamil, who has made her career out of calling people out on literally anything with the faintest whiff of controversy, only to find herself in controversy time and time again, whether it's feuds with celebrities, social media rows, accusations. She even disowned her entire family, claiming that they are fat-phobic. Well, if your worldview boils down to 70 million people being villains because of where they are born, that is not courageous. It's actually very lazy and entitled.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, welcome along. The final hour of Breakfast for Friday ahead of the incredibly talented Alex Phillips at 10 o'clock. Ian, what's his second name? Collins, I'm joking. At 1 o'clock at Kev on drive time. Loads to cram into this hour in a tick. London's mayoral candidate, the brilliant Layla Cunningham. He calls in your text 0344 499 1000. Those text messages 87222. Mark, good morning.
Is there, Mark? Bridge North on the way to work on a lovely sunny Friday. What a wonderful country we live in. I saw some footage yesterday of the Polish foreign minister saying they have zero illegal immigration. They're part of the European Union, by the way. And you know what they do? And he says, which is what we should do. They land, they get them, they put them in handcuffs, they put them on a plane, and they send them back to where they came from. And that's what they do with every single person that enters Poland illegally. That's what they do. That's what we should do. I don't understand why we can't. Poland's a big country too. Get it done. Get them out. They'll soon stop coming.
Imagine that. Imagine if people arrived illegally and you handcuffed them and put them on a plane back to the country of origin. Now, you are waking up or you are just tuning in to the only news story. Yesterday, Kevin launched this, announced it, broke it on drive time. At that point, we saw some incredibly... scary, scary images of 20,000 illegal migrants, right, swimming from Morocco to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Thank you. After a court ruled that anyone arriving by sea could not be forced back. I mean, it was chilling watching those photographs. And, you know, we came on air this morning and everybody wanted to talk about it. 752, by the way, simultaneously arriving in the United Kingdom. Biggest day of channel crossings for the year. Let's talk about the human facts. 4 people sadly died. The French gendarme just standing on the beach going, go through, give me a light for my Gaulois. That was my French impression. We're giving them 500 million, and people are like, what the hell? But let me tell you what's happened this morning, if you're just tuning in. Barely an hour ago, the left-wing Spanish government, who'd like to make it open and free to everybody, have absolutely admitted that there's an issue because they've actually put the Spanish police on the street. They've been mobilised because shops are closed, because bars are closed, and because thousands of migrants who have stormed the country are just wandering around doing whatever. And then we got the breaking news half an hour ago. It wasn't 20,000. It's 49,000 people in one day. The Spanish Interior Ministry have absolutely justified this, have gone from Morocco to that Spanish enclave and are running amok, which means that all of us, even those on the left, surely now have to wake up and go, we can't just throw out platitudes about these people are persecuted, these people have a... Let's have it straight, right? I suspect, and if I'm wrong, phone me and slag me, that the majority of people who come to this country come for one reason and one reason only, because we give more than anybody else and we're very, very nice, because we care more about how we look in the world than for our own people. I try really hard on this show to give balance, which is why an hour ago I had Christine Jardine, the Liberal Democrat MP, who, I'm going to play a replay, who basically says... what we give them is meagre, a lot of them are persecuted, and frankly, it's all the Tories' fault because of Brexit. Have a listen.
I do find it ironic when I listen to Reform going on about it, and Nigel Farage in particular, because, you know, it was Brexit. Pre-Brexit, we didn't have this problem. This stems from Brexit because pre-Brexit, we could say to people who came here from France or Spain or Italy or any other European country, you landed there first, you have to stay there. Now, we can't do that now because we left the European Union and that agreement no longer exists. The one thing I would say is that if people come here and they want to stay, then they should work. They shouldn't be living on these meagre handouts. They should work. They should be contributing.
All right,
they should be paying tax.
So it's important.
And we should have a much better system than we've got that got broken 10 years ago.
You call the meagre, that's what you just said, the meagre handouts. How do you justify to hardworking men and women across Britain, working people, by the way, working people, who would recoil to hear you say meagre when these people are afforded things that hard-working Brits couldn't even dream of.
I don't sit in, London. I am here in my constituency working with people. I know the damage that has been done to people in this country by bad government over the past 10 years. I know the damage that's been done to the cost of living. I know that what we need is good governance. And what I said was that we need people who come to this country to work, and that to make a contribution, specifically because we have a problem. We can't afford to the situation that we're in at the moment. So what I would say is that, yes, I want people who come here to work. I don't want them to be given handouts. It is a simple fact that a lot of the people who come to this country are fleeing persecution. Now, what we have to do.
But Christian, you're going to tell me I'm not letting you speak. You have to be able to talk in facts. I'm sorry, you have to. Yesterday we had the Home Office. I am talking in facts with the greatest respect. Why do you start with there are people fleeing persecution rather than there are hordes of people coming to this country who are not fleeing persecution, who have not brought their wives and kids and are having their backsides wiped by a country, hear me out, that cannot afford it. They don't have a right to be here. And actually and I hate to use it, Christine, so you'll jump down my throat, the indigenous population, the very working people that Labour and all the left apparently care about, are struggling as a result. Why won't you start a sentence with people are coming here to take advantage of us? Why will you not say that?
But why will you not say that among those people are people who are fleeing persecution? Because I recognise that not everything is simple.
I recognise that of the 752 yesterday, I would absolutely guarantee, I don't know, so tell me if I'm wrong, please somebody phone me, how many of the 752 were escaping persecution? I'd wager very, 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 very few.
We find that out by talking to them. And yet, the problem is the gangs. The problem is the gangs.
That's what Starmer said.
The government has to break the gangs. They have said they will do that, and we have to hold them to that. That the problem is that people are being encouraged by these gangs who make money out of them. They're, dying in the Channel, and that is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And nobody, Jeremy, nobody on any side of politics thinks that that is acceptable.
No, I agree with you.
And none of us believe that it's acceptable.
Listen, let's agree to disagree. I meant what I said to Christine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but the left will always start with, there are people fleeing persecution. That's right, across 7 countries in Europe where there's no war, to come to Britain because we give more. And the fact remains, until I'm blue in the face, the population of this country in their millions are fed up. Let's get some balance. Let's speak to Reform UK's mayoral candidate in London. Layla Cunningham, save me. I'm losing the will to live here.
I think the worst part of being on this show was having to listen to that interview, Jeremy. No, I mean, what she said was unbelievable. Number one, the fact that she keeps blaming Brexit, by the way. The agreement we had was the Dublin regulations. And just to put that into perspective, I looked up some figures. In 2018, the UK made 5,000 requests. This is before to send asylum seekers to other EU countries. Do you know how many were transferred out under that agreement?
No.
209. From 2015 to 2018, we made just under 19,000 outgoing requests to remove illegal migrants. Only 1,400 were actually transferred. So only 7% of our requests. So it's complete rubbish. And the only reason why they're coming on boats now was because there were tighter controls. They used to come on lorries and ferries.
In my sort of experience, right, and I'd love to get your take on this. I mean, Christine Jardine is entitled to her opinion, as everybody is. It's about balance. But there seems to be a complete reticence, Layla, amongst certain political classes to acknowledge the fact that however it happens, however it has materialised, right, in this country and across Europe, you only have to look at what happened yesterday in Spain, people are coming to this country, and let's forget how or why or where, they're ending up better off than the people in this country who are being basically made to feel like it's unfair and it's wrong. Why won't politicians on the left acknowledge the reality that the working class men and women of Britain are fed up to the back teeth? Why won't they acknowledge that, Layla?
Yeah, but it's not even the working class, it's everyone. It's because it's not even, it's about money, it's about safety. And you're right, they always start with these people are persecuted. How about starting with these men come in here, and you've heard from security services, some, you know, we don't know if they're terrorists, some of them are rapists, they're costing the taxpayer a lot, and they're gaming the system, and they're entering illegally. How about starting every sentence about illegal migration in that framing?
I agree.
They always seem to take the side of the illegal migrants as opposed to the British public.
Is it because it's ideology? Is it ingrained in them to think that if they appear, this is my point, which isn't particularly well put by me, but do they put greater focus on looking good and being this country that seemingly does the right thing, rather than saying, you know what, my countrymen and women are really hacked off with this and their skin and they're struggling? Why do you not you, but why do not politicians have the brain cells to go, I actually think I'm supposed to represent the people of the United Kingdom, so I'm sort of thinking it would make more sense if I put their desires first and foremost?
Because we have politicians that don't have to live with the consequences of their decisions. And so they live in a bubble, and you're right, they've forgotten that they're there to serve the people that elected them. And it's so blatant. I mean, it's the same with immigration. Election after election, the British people voted for less immigration. And I'm talking about legal. Every single party promised it, and every single party that came to power did the opposite. And that's why I think there has to be a fundamental shift in the political consensus that's happened. The two-party political system are no longer serving the people of the country. They've stopped it. They're serving themselves. And I think that, you know, that's why we're doing so well, because you said it before, that we've had leaders that have wanted to look good on the international stage. And in my opinion, we've had leaders that have chipped away at this country's sovereignty bit by bit, in pursuit of global partnerships and global recognition. And those global partnerships have been to the detriment of the people of this country. They've undercut them and they've endangered them.
Do you think, Leila, that these other countries sit around going, oh, good on Britain? Yeah, migrants everywhere and British people up in arms, but good, because that looks great. Or do you actually think the reality, which I want to say to the left all the time, is that actually, not just Trump, but we've become the laughingstock? Because there has to be something in the fact that the reason I wanted to have you on always, I mean, I love having you on, was, that story yesterday, I'm sure you saw the footage, the 20,000 people that basically swam from Morocco to that Spanish enclave of Ceuta. I've got somebody saying that for me. After a court ruled that anybody arriving by sea could stay. But by this morning, right, the Spanish army had been mobilised because it's complete carnage. And I don't know if you, between what you're doing this morning with the kids, we've had breaking news in the last half an hour. That figure, Leila Cunningham, is actually 49,000 people in one day.
It's horrifying. It's literally an invasion. And think about it, Jeremy, by the way, if we were still in Brexit, they could come to this country easily. You say 49,000. We've had the same amount, by the way, and more coming.
78,000 since the Labour Party came to power. And can I crush Christine Jardine's comment, by the way, about Brexit, which you touched upon? The truth of the matter is surely that being in Brexit, being in the European Union, doesn't create any barrier at all, because I think the figures, the pictures we're looking at are Moroccan people going to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. And I think they're still in the EU, aren't they, Spain? So that's a load of old rubbish, isn't it?
No, and all those people that just boarded Spain, they could easily have come into the UK if we still have freedom of movement within the EU.
Where does it end, Leila, seriously?
It ends with your caller was fantastic before I came on. You deport and detain as soon as they arrive. That is it. It's so simple. It's just we haven't had the political will to do it, and I don't understand why not.
Do you think that political will, and Reform, and certainly Nigel Farage have talked about this for a long, long time. Just imagine that Reform is elected. Let's just play a game with you here, right? And people have elected you on a mandate to deal with many issues, but one of them would be illegal migration. I think I know Nigel well enough, and I know you do, to say that, you know, he would go ahead with what he was elected on. But what do you think the outrage, how loud would the outrage be from the left? Not like Trump, but basically if we pick these people up, put them in handcuffs like the Poles and sent them back to their own country, because that's where we're getting towards. But how would the left respond to that?
It doesn't matter how the left would respond, because the left no longer represent the will of the British people. The left represent a small enclave of liberals who don't have to live with the consequences. I think it will be a huge sigh of relief for people. Who the hell wants tens of thousands of men coming into their country where we don't know, security services have said some of them are terrorists. IRGC have bragged about letting them in. Some of them go on to rape young girls or women. Who's saying, yeah, give me more of that? Absolutely no one but the lefty politicians.
But you're going to think I'm annoying you. Why would any politician say that that's okay? It's not.
I tell you why. Because it's the global stage. It's the ECHR. It's the Refugee Convention. These are countries that all the, in quotation marks, civilized countries have signed up to. And if we leave it, then, as they always quote, we'll be part of Belarus. But I'll remind them, Canada's not part of the ECHR. Australia isn't. United States isn't. They're not Belarus.
And look at the joy, we're playing some footage whilst you're talking to me. The joy on these people, the gates are open and in they come. I was sitting here thinking, where did those 49,000 people sleep last night? Where did they eat? Were they put up by the Spaniards, do you think? Or have they just been on the streets causing complete carnage? I
mean, imagine you live in that town.
To me, I don't know if I've quoted you before, told you this before, but it came up on social media a couple of weeks ago and I'm obsessed with it. Thatcher was asked a question in 1983, which is 43 years ago, and this gentleman said, and she said, if the right honourable gentleman is advocating that people that can come to your country be given handouts, not work and stay, and think that's acceptable, he's talking about international chaos, and that surely is where we're at, aren't we?
100%. It's a breach of our sovereignty. It's a breach of national security. It is a breach of the first duty of this government.
Great to have you on. I know you're busy. We love having you on.
Thank you,
and thank you, as ever, for your input, Layla. Have a great weekend. Layla Cunningham, Reform UK's mayoral candidate in London, 9:20. So much going on this morning, but it is all about this story. Yesterday, 20,000, make that 49,000, illegal migrants swimming between Morocco and the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Brilliant. Simply because the Spaniards said if you arrive by water, you're fine. They're now in the country. The army has been mobilised, and without wanting to frown, to scare anybody, I wonder which country in Europe offers them more. Oh, there we go. Here they come. And that's the reality. And for all the left who think it's outrageous to say that, well, you pay for it, because there's many of us, right, who just want to go to work, bring up our families, pay our taxes and be able to afford to go on holiday or have a few quid or whatever. And whilst we continue to be taxed at ridiculous rates to pay for this rubbish, you will find, whatever your ideology and however good you think you might look, you will find that the British people have had enough. And I go back to something Layla just said, which I think I'd forgotten to say all morning. Yesterday, the former head of the National Crime Agency said, and I quote, small boats filled with young military-age men should scare the life out of the British public. Talk Breakfast. Richard, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy. Richard here from Bedford. For this Liberal lady you've had on earlier says they're coming here for jobs. How can they come here and get a job when our own young people can't get a job right now? Thank you. Bye.
Jamil, who has made her career out of calling people out on literally anything with the faintest whiff of controversy, only to find herself in controversy time and time again, whether it's feuds with celebrities, social media rows, accusations. She even disowned her entire family, claiming that they are fat-phobic. Well, if your worldview boils down to 70 million people being villains because of where they are born, that is not courageous. It's actually very lazy and entitled.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, I got some more breaking news. This, of course, is not the mainstream media. This is a radio station, Talk, the home of common sense, and where, alarm clock Brits have a chat. An hour and a half after it was put public, the BBC have finally acknowledged what we broke an hour ago. It wasn't 20,000 illegal migrants crossing from Morocco to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta yesterday. The Spanish Interior Ministry has confirmed in the last 90 minutes it was 49,000 people in one day swarming around Ceuta. Doing whatever. Don't know where they slept, don't know what they ate. Sure as eggs is eggs. I know where they're coming. We'll say a very good morning. He's a legend. We love him. Thomas Godfrey, news reporter at The Sun. How are you?
Good morning, Jeremy. I'm very good, thank you.
I'm really struggling this morning because you do this for a living. I don't understand how this is difficult. I don't understand how the left still pontificate about these people are coming from war-torn countries. You've worked on stories like this. Why does the mainstream media, so many other stations, so many other newspapers, why do they refuse to call out what is blatantly obvious as, sorry, you're going to be offended, an invasion? It is an invasion.
I think there is a culture here of trying to stick to the rules and trying to stick to the laws, and the laws, frankly, don't really work anymore. No. And we've seen people, even the mainstream parties now saying that the laws don't work. The Conservatives want to pull us out of the ECHR.
Suddenly it's their policy,
unthinkable 10 years ago that they would say that.
Yeah.
And it's because it's the numbers and it's the sort of... how often this is happening, basically, is every single day now we see people coming across the channel, and increasingly now in Ceuta, the scenes yesterday, unbelievable. I think to the first 5 months of this year, 1,600 people had come across into that enclave.
We had 752 yesterday, biggest day of channel crossings this year, nearly 80,000 since Labour came to power. I think 16,000 this year. And the human side, Thomas, is, 4 people died. But for your average Brit, they saw Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, on the beaches of France on Monday, talking to gendarmes. We're paying them 500 million quid just to wave people through. We're offering anything and everything to people. I don't know if you heard the Christine Jardine interview. She says that what we give them is meagre. I nearly lost my head gasket. It's not... Try explaining that to a working person, man.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? £1 billion. £1 billion. What could you do in this country with £1 billion? You could do loads of stuff. Yeah. You could fix loads of things if you use that money correctly. And instead, we're giving it to the French who want to sit around on beaches. I mean, when I was last there a couple of months ago, I was come out of my hotel room in Dunkirk at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a group of migrants trying to launch into the channel. They had a little ATV that they were running up and down the beaches and with gendarmes in, and one of them genuinely had fallen asleep at the wheel. He was sat there on the beach looking into the channel, and the only thing that stopped those migrants crossing was the fact that their engine stopped working when they tried to pull away. But the French police did absolutely nothing. They were more interested in confronting me and our photographer to ask what we were doing, instead of confronting migrants and people smugglers running with free rein up and down the beach trying to illegally come to Britain.
It's almost like there's this sort of... I hate this, but it's almost like this sort of ideological establishment cover-up. And Christian just made a really good point. What happened yesterday, slightly light-hearted, the first bit, Morocco. We're leaving... 49,000 people are leaving Morocco because apparently it's war-torn. But Jet2 this morning are offering 20% off a trip to Morocco for a week with your 2 kids. So I would respectfully suggest that those 49 don't give a toss. Well, there's nothing persecutory about Morocco right now. Actually, they want for a better life. But what fears me is Spain's not going to give them a better life. Which country in Europe wipes everybody else's backside but its own people? Here.
Well, Morocco, of course, is hosting the next World Cup. I mean, are we suggesting that...
Oh, don't start me on the World Cup. We'll get
the country that's hosting the next World Cup is too unsafe. It's so unsafe.
Oh, great point.
That people have to cross continents to come to Europe. And, of course, I have seen personally examples of this. People come from Morocco into Spain, across to the mainland up France, through the south of France, up to the north of France, where they reach Calais and then eventually come to the UK.
And don't worry, if you do get on a boat, the RNA will bring you in, you'll be fine.
And what maybe will keep some people in Spain is, of course, the Spanish government, very left-wing at the moment, going through this big naturalisation process.
They might be, but an hour and a half into this morning, when they'd gone, oh, please come, they go, Christ, we better mobilise the army. They're everywhere. So that's rubbish as well, isn't it? Interesting as well. Christian just put this on. Absolutely nothing, ladies and gentlemen. 9:30 from the EU or Ursula von der Leyen.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not a word from them.
Not at all, not at all. Especially when Italy are considering suspending the Schengen transfers between Spain and Italy.
I'd have her running this country, Maloney.
Because they know that if people are going to get into mainland Spain, which, I mean, let's face it, the population of Ceuta is 80,000. There's now 130,000 people there. It's going to be overcrowded. Some people are going to leave, you know, whether they go either back to Morocco...
How did you call the place?
Ceuta. I know you've got a recording, don't you?
I'm gonna... No, because the C is th. This is it.
Ceuta.
Say it again.
Ceuta.
Ceuta. I'm just going to start pausing and
yeah, no, everyone just raise your right hand and I'll just play that.
It's far easier.
Somebody said you're getting this absolutely right. I said I've been doing this job for 30 years. I've got some other bugger to say it, and it makes it a lot easier.
Far easier.
The whole point though is this sort of constant, fight's the wrong word, but desire to try and make people see common sense. You guys write about it in The Sun. We do it here on Talk, but Christine Jardine is just part of many who will look you full square in the face and say, it's right that we deal with these poor people, or they all want to come and work. We know they're dropping their papers, told by smugglers off the 12 miles off the coast, and they come here, they disappear into society, they're working illegally as Uber drivers or Just Eat drivers. This is an orchestrated, well, I say orchestrated, we allow people to come here, game the system to the advantage of everybody around who works, and that's not sustainable, whoever you are.
No, it's not sustainable. Ultimately, it's people who go out and work hard and pay their taxes that end up bearing the brunt of the cost, not only in terms of economically, but socially as well. I mean, that development last month for Migrant Street, as we called it, obviously that's been reversed, but without our intervention, it wouldn't have been reversed, and there would have been entire new housing developments reserved for asylum seekers, while the cost of buying a home for working families goes through the roof, and while people...
Is this the £250,000 new build?
People who live in London cannot buy houses, and people who want to be able to raise families aren't able to, just aren't economically able to, and they're in jobs and they're working very, very, very hard. And you know, dare I suggest that we may see something down the line similar in Spain if this rate continues of people flowing into that country.
And you know the interesting thing is, because The Sun is so good at this, and we do it every single day, and I find myself, the Mail writes great stuff of it, and I find myself thinking, I mean, I look at the footage, and I think to myself, OK, actually, the BBC is actually talking about the migrants, finally, at 9:30. Oh, no, we're back to hacker rehab, that's gone. I don't understand whether these people believe they can continue to pull the wool. But look, it's an incredibly fluent situation. It's not going to go away. I wanted to change a little bit, because we've been talking about migrants since 1874. This extraordinary front page of The Sun today. Football's staying home. So, without dismissing it, the story goes that Gianni Infantino, the one who's Trump's mate, would like to sell off parts of the World Cup franchise to investors to make it even more global. And most of the football authorities across the world are going, are you bloody sure? That's an absolute joke. And as a result, yesterday, 55 nations, UEFA, unite against the sell-off and write this damning letter. So the first thing this morning, Sam went, so football's never coming home then. and then the cynics are ringing me up going, we just said it off air. Even if we went against UEFA and ended up playing, I don't know, the Spanish enclave of...
Ceuta.
We'd probably lose to them on penalties, wouldn't we? So we're not going to win either way. But this is an extraordinary story, isn't it?
Morocco are a good side, so...
Are they? God.
This is an extraordinary story. The basis for this is FIFA is a non-profit organisation, and Gianni Infantino has looked at that and thought, quite like profit, quite like money.
Yeah.
And he does, and he's decided what he's going to do is sell stakes in the World Cup
What
to
sort of
private
stake?
equity.
What does that mean?
Well, you can take part ownership of the World Cup, you can buy a commercial opportunity, or not that the last World Cup wasn't already commercialised enough, a 30-minute half-time show ruining the spectacle. And
do you know the low point of the last World Cup for me was when they had the water break and it was peeing down with rain. I didn't quite understand that at all. It just didn't sit with me, you know?
And the idea is that this new sort of organisation would take in private money, and he says then that private money could bolster smaller footballing nations around the world. But what UEFA and what CONCACAF, the South American teams, have noticed, have immediately worked out, is that this is all just one big enrichment scheme for Gianni Infantino, whose ego may be about the size of the Maracanã Stadium in Brazil. It's so big, you know, he's trying to hype himself up so much as this great saviour of football, when actually all he's doing with harebrained schemes like this is completely ruining it.
And isn't the point as well that football and the World Cup is sport, it's free of politics, and if you're saying to organisations, not you're sponsoring the coverage or whatever, or you've got your signs around the pitch, but your money is paying for the infrastructure, could lead to the sorts of completely unpalatable stuff we saw when Donald didn't like the aptly named American striker Floridin Balogun, don't know whereabouts in Florida he came from, was given a red card, so he thought he'd just get on the phone to Infantino. So what would stop all these? I invested $7 billion, I don't like the fact my team get knocked out. I don't know where that accent's from. Do you know, I know it's ridiculous, but that's the point, isn't it?
The point is you would get Texan billionaires.
Thank you very much.
Texan billionaires.
Tom.
You would get Texan billionaires come along and say, I don't quite like that result, I don't quite like that red card, I don't like that referee, I don't like that player. I mean, what's to stop in a future World Cup if it is all private money? If countries aren't their national teams, if they're just owned by billionaires, what's to stop transfers between countries for the World Cup? Why don't we have a World Cup?
Can you give us Messi
window
for the next 4 weeks, please? We'll give you a couple of billion, that'll be fine.
Yeah, why can't we sign Musiala from Germany? Why can't we do that? I mean, you played for England under 21s, maybe we should have done. I mean, Infantino's making Sepp Blatter look like an angel, and that's incredibly hard to do.
And Sepp Blatter, his predecessor 10 years ago, didn't he get done for corruption and everything, which is ironic?
Yeah.
I mean, I personally, it's a great story in the front of the Current, as I call it, but he'll be gone within a couple of weeks, Infantino. This can't work, can it?
I mean, imagine a World Cup without South American teams and European teams. Who would invest in that, even if you did have the money? No one would, because you don't want to end up, with respect to these countries, you don't want to end up with a World Cup final that's, Ghana versus, let's say, Qatar. I mean, no one wants to watch that.
As long as the Argentinians don't get through, he says, bitterly spitting into the bin.
Well, I mean,
are you a big football fan? Did you follow it?
I did, absolutely, and I'm still getting over it, frankly. But here's a suggestion: why don't we club together with South America, maybe excluding Argentina?
We haven't got any money, that's why.
But why don't we club together with South America and do a Euro South America tournament? Because all the best teams are there. We could have cheap tickets. We could have it free.
Did you say cheap or sheep?
Cheap tickets. We'll have cheap tickets.
Yeah.
And we can cut out FIFA altogether, and that way we win. Because if we allow Infantino, Trump's mate, to go down this ridiculous pathway of making himself and himself only tens of millions of dollars to sell off a global asset that belongs to the people, then really we're in a very dark place.
You get all the news you want in The Sun. That's brilliant. Also, can I, Thomas, before you go, I do... This is another one of my things. Andy Burnham, what's your view, by the way, of the last 10 days as a political journalist?
It's all been a bit of a whirlwind, isn't it?
Yeah. Can't tie a tie properly, though.
Can't tie a tie. He likes T-shirts quite a lot.
He says he won't ignore drilling in the North Sea. This is a big story. He says that drilling in the North Sea can ease the cost of living, signalling a break with Ed Madman's net zero. The new PM concedes Britain can't ignore resources in the North Sea, but this is a bit of a con, isn't it? Because if you read your article, there are 2 fields in the North Sea that were open. The manifesto said you can do with them what you want, but you can't open any others. Starmer shut them down because of Mad Miliband. So he can tick every box by opening those up. Trump will go, well done, but he won't be breaking the manifesto.
Well,
Still not enough.
He's sort of dancing on the wire, isn't he? I mean, there are a lot of people who would say that not only do we need to reopen those 2 fields, but we need to then explore others.
Sure.
So
imagine.
We're sat on so many resources in the North Sea, it can ease the cost of living. And look, if we won't drill there, then I'm sure someone else will.
Well, they do. Norway do, and then we pay them double, don't we?
Every other country is using their natural resources. We've decided to pursue net zero right to the end of the line, and it's only now, when it's far too late, that we've worked out that actually the economics aren't there, the return on the investment aren't there. And while it's nice to be all eco-friendly and say we want to save the environment, well, we do, don't we?
No, I don't care.
But not...
So my kids go, don't you want to save the planet? I go, no, I'll be dead. You can sort it out. Sod you, all of you. I just want to get on with my life. Thomas, brilliant. I love the paper. That football story is amazing and everything in it, and we appreciate your time today. Thomas Godfrey, news reporter at The Sun. Top job, 0344 499 1000. The legend, not the Thomasism, but the legend that is Harry Redknapp, courtesy of Sandbanks, here after this break. Jane, good morning.
Going back to the voice note with regards to Daisy the cow. Yeah, I've made the move from Manchester down to Devon, and it's amazing how many people down here believe in the utopia. The Lib Dems are all over it, you know. They run most of the counties down here, because everyone's going, save the refugees. What they don't understand is what is going on. Well, actually, sorry, tell a lie, because there's a lot of Londoners moved down here in the last few years, and they all know the reason why they're not in London anymore.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Nice squeak. 20 minutes to 10. We're live across the UK. JK on breakfast. Alex Phillips. It's me. Alex Phillips is here. Oh, is it? It's my shoulder. It's all gone wrong this morning. Look at that. They've got bits flying everywhere. Alex Phillips here from 10 o'clock. Oh, it's on the other shoulder now. Do you know what it's like trying to have things woggling everywhere? I'm going on holiday in a minute. Shut up, you. Go and eat your couscous your wife cooked you that you don't like because you prefer McDonald's breakfast. Right, listen. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Alex here at 10. Ian Collins, the voice of the housewives, at 1. And Kev from 4. All of you have been talking all morning about the migrant situation. Can I just remind you, the footage you saw yesterday, 20,000 migrants swimming from Morocco to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta, has been confirmed this morning by the Spanish Interior Ministry. This is unbelievable. 49,000 have made that journey. They're now swarming around the town. The Spanish who went, oh, come here, we care. They've now got the army on the streets, and most people in this country who aren't left-wing will go, what the hell's going to happen? Because all those people will go, can I name a European country that will wipe my arse better than anybody? Oh, let's go to England. Anyway, morning, Rob.
You cannot let that many people roam around nilly-willy who aren't the same as the indigenous populations. It's changing everything. Borders will end up being guarded very soon by navies, by armies, and these lefties laugh when you suggest it because they think, oh, no, well, people will get hurt. Well, people will get hurt. People are being hurt now. It's off the chart. Armies will have to be brought to do what they were intended to do, defend the people in these countries. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen sooner rather than later, believe you me, the mess we're going to see is off the charts.
Nilly Willy is my favourite phrase of the morning. And also, believe you me, what have I got to do with it, Rob? Me? Lead? Anyway, never mind. 22 minutes to 10 o'clock. I'm so delighted to have him on because the world is in uproar about the World Cup. We say a very good morning to the legend that is Harry Redknapp. Where are you, Harry?
Jeremy, I'm at home at the moment, having a day off from playing golf this week. I'm a bit golfed out, actually.
Could we just
And
zoom in?
lucky enough to go up to Loch Lomond and play a couple of
Oh,
weeks.
you poor man. You Loch Lomond's good cause. Can we just zoom in? You'll see it there. Ladies and gentlemen, that wonderful Sandbanks shirt. You can get them online. It is the place to go. No, the other side, Harry. You've got
The other
that right.
side?
Yeah.
Oh, look, yes.
Touch the badge, mate. You wouldn't have been any good when you saying, oh, there it is. Sandbanks, we love it. Loch Lomond, great. Harry, I had to get you on. This story on the front of the Sun newspaper today that is just doing the rounds is beyond barking. Gianni Infantino, the boss of FIFA, wants to sell off parts of the World Cup to certain billionaire groups so they can have a stake in it. UEFA overnight, all 55 nations writing a damning letter going, no, football's not about that. This is all about you. We're not going to take part. I don't want to make you laugh, right? But AM1 football's never going to come home then, but what makes me laugh even more is I think if we went against UEFA and played in the tournament, we'd probably lose anyway, wouldn't we? So I think we're buggered either way. What do you make of this story, pal? It's extraordinary.
Well, it don't surprise you really, does it, Jeremy, with Infantino? He's obviously, you know, you've only got to look at the way he is with Trump and everybody else, you know, where the World Cup's been taken to in recent years. It's all money making, isn't it? He's made an absolute fortune, hasn't he? And he probably sees the opportunity to make even more money. So that's his objective, really. It's not about football. It's very similar to when we had the Super League that was going to happen a couple of years ago, but lucky enough, people revolted against it and refused to, you know, play in it, and it got kicked out. That idea got scrapped. And hopefully the same thing will happen here with this.
It's interesting for me because I've just watched the spectacle from America and there are criticisms, but it was also amazing, not in terms of Argentina. But it leads me to ask you, is this because the World Cup is lacking money, or is this about individual self-interest and this Infantino man?
I would think individual self-interest. But, you know, what is going on anyway with the World Cup? I mean, you look back on it, we've got the show at half-time. It become like the Super Bowl, didn't it? You know, with Trump, as you said earlier, overturning a red card. I mean, you know...
What did you make, by the way? I just wanted to ask you. So I'm going to phone you at home. Mark said, don't. He's playing golf. What did you make of the hydration break, specifically when it was peeing down with rain? That was a bit weird.
I know. Who comes up with these ideas? Obviously, people who've got no idea about football or what the game's about, really. I mean, listen, if it's 90 degrees, sure, I can understand that. It's fair. But when they're playing indoors or they're playing in decent conditions, why would you have the break? I suppose what'll happen now, it'll probably come in here in a year or so. We'll be having breaks and half-time entertainment.
As a coach, 20 minutes into a half, genuine question, you did it for years, or a manager, 20 minutes in, the structure's wrong, the team aren't doing what you want. That's a good thing for 2 minutes to be able to put your thoughts in ahead of half-time, I'm guessing. But the rest of it, to me, I was a bit cynical about it, mate, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I read somewhere that, people were saying it's fantastic, these breaks, because we've got the best tactical coach in the tournament. And so he can get his message over, you know, and so it's a big advantage for England. What a load of cobblers. I mean, you know. And I'll be honest, they come off the players, they're getting a drink, they're not even listening to what the man... He hasn't suddenly, you know, got their attention to be changing things very much. We all get carried away about what the coach is doing and what he's not doing. At the end of the day, the players go out and play, and you can shout and scream like shouting from the touchline. It all goes in. They're not even hearing you probably. So, but no, these breaks are just. I hope it doesn't come in here for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
I'm so glad you're on for one other reason. Well, I'm always glad you're on so we can talk about Mark's business. But Eddie Howe, you've never been a manager who sticks the boot in, but you've always been honest. I've got, as you know, a lot of mates, spend a lot of time in Newcastle. Rob's got a box. I've gone to all the matches. St James's on on a match day is extraordinary. There's no doubt that Eddie Howe, what he brought to Newcastle was extraordinary. There's no doubt if you looked at the energy levels, he looked like he needs a break, right? That would be my opinion. Maybe this is contentious, what I'm going to say. If you were in charge of the FA, and they should never have overlooked you, if I was in charge, from the moment I heard yesterday, I would be moving heaven and earth to move Tuchel out and put Eddie Howe as the next England manager. Finally, we get an Englishman with a man who I think would do a fantastic job. Thoughts, Harry?
Well, Eddie certainly would be the #1 candidate for that job, in my opinion. You know, he's, as you say, done an excellent job at Newcastle, but I don't see him changing the manager. He signed a long-term contract. I think he'll be here for the Euro side. Genuinely don't see that's not going to happen. But Eddie would be very high on the list, I would think, at the FA when they do come to, after the Euros, they decide to change manager. And I think next time he's got to be an English manager. And who are the candidates? Frank Lampard.
Yeah, Frankie.
Frank would be in the running for sure.
Done a great job at Coventry. What did you make of Howe leaving Newcastle? Inevitably look worn out in the end, mate. Do you get to a point as a manager where you just think I need a change of environment? I can't do it anymore.
A couple of years ago, Jeremy, I looked at Newcastle and thought they're a team that could be challenging for the title. They will, they got incredible support. It's an amazing football club, and they'd won a competition. And they looked like, to me, a real team that was going to be a real force for years to come. And suddenly they start selling all their players. I mean, it's been one after the other. Now, suddenly there's all the best players have all gone. Where they going to... So Eddie's obviously looked at it, and if that's the situation, what can you do as a manager? All your best players are going. They're not being replaced. And I think he just had enough.
Yeah, I think, you look at Isak, you look at Gordon, you look at Guimaraes is going to go, you look at Tonali, that's 400 or 500 million worth of talent, and you think, how can I get it back, that energy level? And that energy level, to me, summed up probably a lot about it. Do you think he'll take a break or he'll come back quite soon?
No, I think he'll wait for the right job to come along, wherever that may be. In a few months' time, we get to, November to December, Christmas time, there'll be vacancies come up in jobs, and he'll probably, decide where he goes from there. But yeah, Eddie will do a good job wherever he goes. I signed him as a player at Portsmouth. He was my first signing. So him and Richard Hughes, who's sort of, very strong in at Liverpool. So yeah, Eddie's done an amazing job. He did a fantastic job at Bournemouth, and he did great at Newcastle. And wherever he goes, he'll do well for sure.
Good man. So you're at home today, just to finish, and I'd never get it to be political with you because I know what you think and you're brilliant. So you're at home today. Sandra's going to make you a sandwich. You've got your Sandbanks top on. As you gaze out across the sea, we don't want to give away, but we live very close together. Any sign of any dinghies at all, or any Moroccans on their way?
No, what amazes me when I watch all them pictures, they're all young all young blokes. Where are the women? Is there no women?
No, mate, of course. Let me ask you something as a man of advanced years, right? This is what I've been saying all morning. If you and Sandra were living in a war-torn country with the two boys, right, 20 years ago, and there was bombs raining on your head, would you, Harry Redknapp, have got your passport and buggered off across 7 countries and left her with the bombs, or would you have taken her with you, for God's sake?
Absolutely. How would you... They got no intention of going back. They make their way here. They know this is the land of milk and honey. So we accept it all, and it's getting overrun. This country's overrun. I live in Bournemouth. Bournemouth town centre has absolutely gone.
Well, you know why Harry and I are having this conversation? I took our nipper, I took Henry the other day, mate, for his theory driving test, and there's no part of me that's never been honest, and I'm in Bournemouth town centre. I hadn't been there for about 4 or 5 months, and I'm just getting a coffee and waiting. Honestly, Harry, illegal migrants up and down the street. And if we don't tell the truth, people need to know the truth. Bournemouth completely changed, man.
Absolutely. Like, I had some friends come down the other way. They said they thought we're in a third world country. I mean, walking down Old Christchurch Road down that way now, it's sad how it's gone.
It has indeed. Listen, mate, love to Sandra, the family as ever, and keep that Sandbags message going, Marky. We're on it.
Jeremy.
Take care, bloody. Bless you. Thank you very much indeed, Harry Redknapp. Andy, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy. Just one quick one for you. Great show, by the way. My solution to the immigration crisis would be if they come over to the UK in boats, put them on a plane, send them to the Falklands. They'll soon stop coming over when they realise that there's nothing down there for them. Cheers, bud. Bye.
Fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago, he wasn't even an MP. The next, he's holding keys to number 10.
You know what? I'm trying so hard not to be cynical about it all, but I'm trying to keep, not hope. I'm sick of hearing about hope already. He's only been in government for 5 minutes, but I want them to succeed because I want Britain to succeed.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Harry Redknapp, the legend, as Sonia says, always tells it how it is. Spot on when he says it's all about money, not about football. Sonia, thank you. I feel like there are times when I really put my all into this job, and sometimes Christian looks at me like I've just crawled into his house on Christmas Day and stolen his kids' Christmas presents. He went, "You're not going to read any text messages out this morning?" He went, I haven't had any for a couple of hours. He went, "Shiz, you're on the wrong screen, you complete idiot." That's what I have to deal with. The World Cup, says Terry. Really? Your country is being destroyed and football is an issue? Hi, Jeremy. We need a moat around our country, but hang on, we have the British Channel. Problem solved. Well, listen, Sam, who works here, who's knackered because he's got kids as well, said, why don't we build a wall around? Because it'll be built on sand and they'll just be able to push it over. Dan from Kent, great show as always, JK. I'd like to say have a great holiday, but with your amount of kids, you'll probably come back even more tired than... Honestly, I'm knackered, honestly. Can you do a puzzle? No, my knees are hurting. I am actually seeing my grandchildren, and I have made the... I don't want to be... I mean, I just being honest, I've banned my grandchildren and offered them money if they don't call me Grandad in public. So they have to call me Jez, because it's slightly embarrassing that Iris, who's 2, is the auntie of Isla, who's 8. It's a bit weird. It could have gone on the Jeremy Kyle Show. Hi, Jez. With 49,000 people deciding to storm the Spanish border at the same time, there must have been a social media notice going around. So why did Spain or Morocco do nothing? Which is Jay in Stockport. Sally, morning, Jez. What were the Moroccans doing in all of this? Surely they knew these migrants were planning to leave en masse. Stan Hall, the man, he calls himself Stan the man in Cheshire, just watching the migrants in... Ceuta. Thank you. My point is, how do they get food and water today? Exactly what we said earlier. And more importantly, how does the infrastructure cope with them all needing to sleep or use the toilet? Disease will be rife with that many people living rough, and it's already reported they're breaking into people's homes. Ray Mitchell, good morning. Chris Parry on Talk yesterday said that Border Force can pick the migrants up from the boats and safely return them to France. International law allows this. You don't need the Navy. Why on earth are people not doing what we're allowed to do? Morning, Jezza, Stephen Rushton. I found your programme today depressing. Thanks very much, but I'm sticking with you. One thing not spoke about is population density, is the number of people per square mile. France, 318. Spain, hello, 253. Ireland, 212 now. Poland, 326. The United Kingdom, 738. I find your programme depressing, but I'm going to stay with you. It will not be depressing after the news at 10, because a lady who has a spring in her step and her hat is at a jaunty angle, probably because she saw her boyfriend last night. How are you, Alex Phillips?
I'm OK. I'm quite depressed about the state of the world.
You are. Did you see the news? Spanish Interior Ministry spokesman an hour ago. No, you'll see this on the BBC. It wasn't 20,000.
I know.
Do you know how to say the Spanish enclave?
Oh, Ceuta.
No, this is it.
Ceuta. What?
Say it again.
Ceuta.
Ceuta.
Ceuta. There you go.
Do you want to borrow that? Because this is how you say... All these people on talk today, right? It's not Ceuta, it's this. Ceuta. Ceuta.
No, well, I got close. Ceuta.
Oh, you've got Dean
Ceuta.
producing you today, haven't you?
Yeah, the linguist himself.
How does he feel about your new boyfriend?
Oh, I haven't got... Jeremy, can I make very plain to you?
Yes.
I'm a single woman.
Yeah.
I do not have a boyfriend.
No.
I have absolutely nothing really going on.
Why did you send me a
in my life.
video the other day of you about to go to bed without a man?
Because you seem to be... Yes,
you owe me a tenner.
because you seem to be convinced I have a mystery lover, so I was proving to you that I do not.
It's lovely to have you on.
If only I should be so lucky.
I've got a line for you. That didn't sound right.
Oh, my God.
So, you know,
have you got a boyfriend and a line? This sounds like a party.
You know Morocco? You know Morocco?
I've been there many times.
Have you? Well, you know, all these people from Morocco, right, decided to go to the Spanish enclave of...
Ceuta.
And some people would say, oh, it's because their lives are so bad. Did you know that Jet2 are advertising last-minute holidays to Morocco this morning?
I go to Morocco on an annual basis. I love Morocco. I know the country extremely well. It's a great ally of the West. Is this really the handiwork of Morocco?
What do you think it is?
I don't know. Could be Morocco,
I had
could be
Christine
Algeria,
Jardine, the
could be
Liberal
Iran,
Democrat
Russia,
on.
China,
Yeah.
or all of them.
She said they're all being persecuted and they're escaping war. Majority.
In Morocco?
Everywhere. We need to be more sympathetic. We need to understand these people have hard
Morocco?
lives. See, she's going to start. Literally said, you always say these poor people are economic migrants. So many of them are escaping persecution.
Morocco's not even... I'm sorry, Morocco is a middle-income country.
Absolutely.
It's not even poor.
Absolutely. What else would you like to talk about?
I think that's pretty much all we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to bust apart. I'm going to actually start the show with a monologue that I want to be taken seriously.
What is a monologue? Oh, God, that's what they said to me on the first day. Everybody starts with a monologue. I said,
no.
I don't even know how to write one. What the hell are you talking about? Have you written something?
No, I don't write. Well, I do write.